Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the First Day Podcast. Sorry we're a little late, but we're just so darn excited on a Sunday morning for our coffee chat here. It's myself and Leanne. Hello, my dear co-host. Hi, Leanne. How are you doing this morning?
Hi, I'm really excited. How are you?
I'm great. We got a very special guest today. We made a personal effort here to get this guy on outside of our comfort zone of our Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern shows. So today, could we please give it up for friend of mine, hopefully he'll be a friend of yours after this is over, Mr. John. I don't even know how to say his last name. I've never heard it out loud.
Perfect. That's okay.
John L. My guy, John L.
Our real friendship starts here. It's Laghezza. Or I guess maybe it's more European. You'd get that rolled Z. We don't really do that here, that Laghezza. But it's Laghezza. We kind of slander that here in America, but that's fine. So it's John Laghezza. Hi, everybody. I'm the maniac behind the MLB Moving Averages Twitter handle. I mostly do baseball stuff, but I also do a bit of, hence the moniker, the Moving Averages moniker. I have a background in Wall Street, and I don't know, I kind of developed this really interesting story now. I looking back, I'm almost 40, and I really just have this really cool story of really kind of being self-made now at this point. Like I don't work. My wife doesn't work. Like we don't do that, And it kind of came up. I guess we're going to get into it. Wealth kind of came up and handling finances and people struggling. Right, that was kind of the core. Mike, I think Mike, like myself, he wears it a bit more in his sleeve. Mike's compassion. Mike's clearly an extremely compassionate individual. He's also very modest. He knows it. He probably wouldn't do like I'd be like this right now. Going, yeah, I'm the man. And that's where it starts. That love to kind of help people. And man, this sounds weird because the first thing to kind of helping people is helping yourself, right? So almost the whole airplane analogy, right? If it's the plane's going down, you got to secure your own mask before you start helping other people, and it's the truth because you may help one or two people, but you're going to go down, and so is the rest of the plane. Meanwhile, if you're really efficient in your aid, whether it be triage style or not, you're going to help yourself and then maybe help everybody. So. Yeah, it's weird. I was doing all these things for myself. How do I make myself better? I have a large disdain for anything establishment, anything governmental. I don't believe in these people. I think they're not only criminal, I just think they're buffoons. I don't even think they do a good job. I don't think they do a good job masquerading as the things they pretend to be. Like especially nowadays, they just brazenly lie and create double standards. So you can choose to participate in a system, or you can choose to not participate in the system. You could also choose to buck that system and cut your own path. And man, at the core, probably of a lot of what we're going to talk about is bravery and confidence. And, the things you have to wear. You have to. Man, it's funny because part of it is it exuding. You can't just say you're brave because bravery calls you when you're not ready. So you're either brave and answer the call, or you don't answer the call, and you talk about how you wish you were brave. Excuse me. So I think that's probably a good core, right? We're probably at the center of all this stuff. A lot of it stems from compassion, a willingness to help, but an understanding that you have to have a solid foundation before you build further, right? I can't really help you if I don't do these things myself, so when I talk about wealth, it's funny, again, we're probably getting into a lot of perspective stuff also, that for some people, it's, you're wealthy. You have a black ripped Jets hoodie on. I don't care. I don't care. To me, those things don't matter. My image is created in my household by my family, the people that love me and I surround myself with. And I don't care if I wear a black t-shirt. That's how you're going to catch me. And in the words of the inimitable Biggie Smalls, may he rest in peace, with up there in heaven with the goodies dressed in white. I like black Tims and black hoodies. That's how I rock and roll. And that's another part of it. I'm confident in myself. I don't care. Now, granted, I don't really go around looking like a schlep, but I also not going to spend $300 on a white t-shirt. And that's funny. I often talk about this because that's real. I have a couple friends like this. big time mortgage brokers or whatever they are. My brother is a big shot physician's assistant, and he's a rock and roller, man. He's a player, he's a player. And if he's got a white t-shirt on, it's a Hugo Boss white t-shirt, and it costs $250. And my white t-shirt is from Modell's or the back rack at Marshall's. And to me, they're the same. So there's my first creation of wealth for you with no effort is eliminate perceptions, stop paying premiums, and I don't choose to participate in the system of a brand whorism or whatever we call this.
Yeah.
I wear Nikes, but that's a brand. Yeah, it's a great sneaker. It holds up for a year. I'm fat and it doesn't break. So I wear it. Weigh these things. I don't just say, I can get a cheaper pair of sneakers and I wear a Keds. No, I don't wear Keds because my big toe is going to be hanging out of the thing in 2 weeks.
John, you said you're fat. Come on, wait a minute though. Didn't you say you've had problems with weight yourself and dealing with food?
You want to dabble there too? I've been.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about. Look at my shirt. I got the sugar mode off. We're trying to get better here. So.
Oh, good, Lynn. Good for you. Lately I've actually been on a correction. Mike Sleepy K helped get me back on the path. He said he
was on the show last month. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of cliche. And I hate to be cliche. I normally make my bread and butter bucking the trends, and maybe we'll get to that also. You want a good strategic strategy? If the entire mass of people is going this way, get up and calmly go the other direction. And
that's classic in sports betting. Yeah.
9 times out of 10, you will find yourself the victor. The masses are dumb. And to quote the great George Carlin, think about how stupid the average person is. And then realize that half the people are stupider than that. So let's get to weight, because weight is going to cover a lot of things that we're going to talk about. Addiction and discipline and self-worth. And now this is actually really funny. I'm going to tie this in. I allowed myself to get really heavy. I was always kind of burly, right? I was in commercial construction, and I kind of like to fight, not like tough guy on the street. Like we trained for fighting. Plus, it's nice to be able to defend yourself. You like to drink, whatever. That may be all over.
How tall are you, John? How tall are you?
5 nothing. Now I'm like 5'7", on a stretched out, with the horses. So, all right. So carrying around tons of weight, besides it's dangerous, it's flat out unhealthy, and no one wants to be that way. But I kind of allowed myself to because I didn't care about the imagery. So like there I was now, like I'm using this shirt thing all over again. I decided not to wear the expensive shirt, but I also decided to wear the shirt that got holes in it because I took a path that though it wasn't, I didn't take the masses. I didn't go that way, but that doesn't mean I chose correctly. And my wife is smoking hot. Oh my God, my wife is so hot. And she's nice and kind. She's generous. She is, aside the fact that she deals with me on a regular basis and presents me to the public, she is a saint. And I'm so happy that I kind of didn't, put that strict restrictor on my behavior that you should, when it started to affect me. And when I think forward, I have 2 beautiful kids. Man, they're the best. They're both bubbly and healthy and funny and good looking and smart. It's amazing. And I owe them better. You don't have to be a rail. And I'm totally not a fan of these 40-year-olds walking around in polo shirts with their nipple rings and their big back, muscles. Like, dude, all right, enough is enough. Like there is a limit. But, you should be healthy. So Mike brought it up, and I'm not the type to say, oh, I'm going to do this. I wait until I do it. And I actually, Mike, I didn't mention anything to you until I just hit the 20-pound mark, which to me is the first place where you could say, okay, I've put in the work, and I'm at the first level. And something that I want to stress today that hopefully, again, we'll be talking about, running theme, these spinning bowls that I was talking to you guys about before the show. And anybody just quick bowl, right? We're going to bowl for the bowls. The thing I'm referring to, the analogy I'm referring to that I really hope will stick with you. And you'll find that it resonates and transcends sports, wealth, family. It becomes this actionable method of critical thinking for you. So I'm referring to, his name was Eric Bren, and he was on the Ed Sullivan Show if you're above 40, and he was on the Gong Show if you're less than 40. And he used to spin these bowls on plates, 2, 3, 8, 10, 12, and the music's going, the circus music is going, and this guy just, it seems completely scattered and just unbridled chaos. 8, 10, 12 bowls spinning, wobbling on sticks. How does this matter? Those are all thoughts. The bowl is a thought. The stick is relevancy. If you get back to the bowl before it falls off the stick, it's still relevant, and you may continue to build off it. But you must keep people engaged, and maybe you're even seeing a bit of it. Like, I'm trying to lay out thought patterns and how these things overlap. It was wealth, but wealth goes to discipline. Those things overlap a touch. Then the next bit, and that one overlaps a touch. So people, when you think about wealth, you don't put away health. You don't put away education. You don't put away family. These things all exist. Man, it's just, life has given us this amazing tapestry. And it's up to us to put them together and make them work, whether or not this one is raggedy and this one isn't. Because the idea with a tapestry and with a quilt is when you step back to be proud of what you've built. And the dark spot in a sea of brightness will no longer be a stain, but it's this lodestar, this benchmark, this fulcrum, right? It's a fulcrum point, this pivot that you changed. So like, I talk about my weight now, I joke about it all the time, and maybe I'll be joking about it in a different way in a couple months, where if 20 becomes 40 and 40 becomes 60, and then I've made a meaningful change, and then, gosh, I'm going to just go off the walls, because you see me and you think, man, this is a person that is not restricted at all. And that's not true. I have my failings. I'm completely embarrassed of the way I look, like everyone else. I care a lot less because, again, my wife is a dime piece. You know what I mean? So, like, you could suck on that, haters. But it's the truth, right? And then we go back to kind of bucking. So, like, again, it's always this. It sounds very lawyerish, and man, I'm really not a legal guy. Like, I don't have any official legal training, but I have mentored under a lawyer, like in the arena of critical thought, and in this age of like ubiquitous information. I suggest it to everybody. Pick an hour, pick a time. Maybe you're walking the dog, or maybe you're like with your kids. I find I do a lot of learning when I'm with my kids. I'm with them, but they're listening to Blue's Clues, and I'm listening to, lectures on whatever the thought of the day may be. Because strong thinkers, even if you don't understand the material, you may pick up a methodology. So again, you've heard me rant about this, that, and the other thing. Have you really learned anything about wealth? No, but maybe you've picked up like, wow, these bricks, if I just put them together, I won't find myself jumping anymore. I'll just be comfortably kind of walking the path. So in like 12.5 million words or less, right? That's an intro, right? Into the mind. I hope it takes a point,
What do you think, Leanne?
I told you it could be wild.
This is amazing. I'm following everything that you're doing. I'm hoping that people that are listening to this are also following everything that you're doing, because it's everything we can all relate to. Yeah. We're all so similar.
Yeah.
That's true. You're right. For some reason, John has this ability to do that. And
I love people, man. I love people, the human experience. I'm sorry, Mike. I didn't mean to cut you off, but like that.
No, people are cool.
Oh, I love people. You know what? You have to learn to even love people that you don't like, because, and I'm not saying like I'm this. It's funny, right? You know, this guy's like a hippy dippy kind of right, foofy, weird hippie thing, and it's not the case. But I think when I see somebody that blows my mind, I'm never like, man, I hate that person. I'm like, man, what got them there? Right? What decision brought them there? What decision might bring them out of there? How much of this is a fake? Right? Because people wear a lot of facades. So, and I think that's why I affect people so much, because I just like, I don't have that. That function does not work. I don't.
What you see is what you get.
Yeah, and then some. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I just put it out there. I'm unashamed. I'm unabashed, because I want to welcome challenge. I think too many people walk around this world needing to be right, flip that perspective and seek to be wrong. If you find yourself wrong once a day, I'll guarantee you learned 7 things that week. And that's real. That's real life-changing stuff. You really want to change your life, learn how to be wrong. Let's put it this way. If you're happy, I'm sorry, scratch that, start again. If you're unhappy about the place you're at, but are pretty certain that you were right about everything, no.
That's not going to work.
Go the other way. People struggle with self-auditing because I don't know if it's pride or whatever. I think there's a fear of failure that just kind of crosses like all of the circles of life, that infinite Venn diagram. And
especially in the United States. Yeah,
people are just too afraid to lose. They're too afraid to lose. They're too afraid to lose. And it's funny, it shows I've embraced things where losing is prevalent. Like I analyze baseball, a game where failing 60% of the time makes you the greatest to ever do it. If you could only manage to fail 60% of the time, you'd be the greatest to ever do it. Billions of people have come and gone on the earth, and you would be the one to have succeeded at it. Mm-hmm. So the same thing goes for trading. The same thing goes for handicapping and betting. The same thing goes for a lot of the hustles I'm into. And man, maybe that'll be something I hope that we get to. And it's.
But do you have a strategy for your eating then? Because we're talking with John L., by the way. He's an amazing firecracker of a human being. He knows everything there is to know about life. He's lived it 3 times over and then some. I know John from Fantasy Baseball. That's how I first met him last year. I got on the Turn 2 pod with our friend Matt Williams, and I'm really blessed that I had the opportunity to meet John there, and that we're doing this now because John has so many tales and experiential knowledge. He's lived a life. He hasn't read about it. He's lived it. He's read about it too. I mean, he's, like you said, you read and you listen to wise people and you take things into account and apply them into your life. But you've also applied that to what you already know from your experiential knowledge. So real quick with eating, do you have a strategy? You said the intermittent fasting. Are you like daily planning it out?
So check this out. Just a quick story. I grew up really heavy in a time where, listen, my parents were really poor when they were children. They did a little bit better, right? The American dream, do a little bit better than the people before you. My father worked for the post office, government job, honest living. You're not wealthy, but it's an honest living, right? It's a good wage. You get benefits and stuff. So we, had our own place, which was like a first and all that great stuff. So to them, especially my dad's side, this kind of Italian, but not. I don't want anyone to get confused. Like this guy's uber Italian. My family's like Mayflower old. We're Brooklynites. We are Brooklyn. I have people of all religions and stripes in my family. If you look around, and I'm not one of these uber inclusive homeland kind of people. That's not what I'm getting at. What I was getting at is this Italian American identity, which is very real, and not Italian European. It's quite different, particularly in Brooklyn. And whether some of it is self-fulfilling and from movies and stuff is another story for another day. But long story short, in that culture, food is certainly love. So if you didn't have food young, providing abundance was showing love. And when you combine that with the lack of knowledge, just in general, right? Listen, man, a lot of stuff's changed. We didn't even know about Atkins and low carbs, right? We didn't even know about this stuff. In fact, I can remember, I think there was a Seinfeld episode about this, that my mom was one of the women that fell for the no sugar cookie fad. I don't even know if you guys remember that. This goes back to, this is the early 90s, and these shops started popping up with sugar-free cookies and sugar-free frozen yogurt, right? These cookies would be massive. And all the women would be outside the elementary school eating these cookies, bragging about the new diet, and all getting fat, So, man, again, here we go with a bowl spinning. Perception versus reality, not trusting establishments and governmental institutions giving you information, particularly. Self-auditing your own, confirming. These things are all intertwined. And like many other things, when you don't confirm, and when you just take other people's word for it, particularly those with money on the line, you'll find that they often are manipulating you for their own financial gain. Huge supply. So I grew up with abundance. I was always very heavy, but I was really athletic. like super athletic for a big guy. I mean, that was, it's funny. You don't realize that was always what it was. Man, John, you're really fast for a big guy. Man, you're really good at football for a big guy. But like, I was a baller. Like I could really play. So then through like those years, junior high school, when you're allowed to be outside on your own and play handball football all day, I kind of shrank down. You start getting girls, which is awesome. I was already on that track because if you're heavy, you feel like you have to kind of overcompensate, right? So you start to kind of study the men that get women. You know what I'm saying? That's how I am. I'm what's this guy doing? Besides having muscles, what else brings him in? And you find, paying attention, being funny, being complimentary, being a good person. We learn later what that is, So the point being, then again, I gained, right? Because I became happy, so I became fat again. Because again, this is for people that are parents. Don't allow your children to get there in the first place, because once you get heavy, your body will maintain a propensity to be heavy for decades to come, perhaps. So that's number one. Like my kids, my wife is skinny and hot. My kids are both in fantastic shape. We don't give them crap. And now I'm not like a stickler. Like there's a thing of cookies in the house, but we don't have, we don't just hit them with
10, 12 packs of soda in the house. So.
Yeah. You know what? Drinking calories. Oh my God. Number one worst thing you could do for people out there, like side bowl. Yes. Number one, if you want to lose weight.
One of the number one things you learn as an adult when you get older, you're like, this is, wow, terrible call. Terrible call.
And when you learn more about the actual machinations of digestion, liquid is used the fastest. So also the way sugar works is the sugar that isn't used is transformed to fat the fastest, right? So if you're going to go play something, that's when you hear Gatorade. You know what I mean? But you don't drink Gatorade to sit around. So it's the same idea. If you drink sugar and then sit down, you're on a fast path to weight gain, right? So that bowl aside, drinking calories is a huge no-no.
And John, what would you say though somebody says, John, you're fat shaming though. Come on, dude. You got to be, people are allowed to be fat in this life. What would you say to that?
I would say fat shaming is a tool of manipulation. You don't have to ever be ashamed. You should be ashamed if you're not working your hardest. You work your hardest and you don't get your gains, come to me about feeling bad. Then we feel bad, but then we should be thinking about how we're going to correct it. Because again, fat shaming, maybe I shouldn't have leaped. I didn't really look before I leaped, because again, we should have defined the terms before we walk into pitfalls.
I threw
fat
it at
shaming,
you.
Are we talking about you need to be cubed? You need to have a six-pack? That's unrealistic and stupid. That should be ignored. Right. Are we bragging about people above 400 pounds and have BMIs in the triple digits? No, if we truly care about these people, we should be addressing a very real health issue. Real health issue. Okay, again, I'm not shaming anybody. I'm one of you, and I need to. I want to change. I want people to want me naked. I need to change because I love this earth, and I love my family. I love my friends.
You should promote good health. Promote good health. That's what it means.
That's what it. Yeah. That's Mike. That's exactly it. And I'll tell you what.
If you're naturally big, cool. That's cool.
Right, but I don't
think
that's the thing. I don't think that, I don't believe the person that's, again, we're not talking about the man that's 230, the woman that's 175. Okay, we're talking, again, life, we need context. Let's always provide context. We're talking about the morbidly obese, right? We, as a people, the same way, if I saw you smoking and lighting cigarettes off another cigarette, as much as I'd say, yo, this guy Mike is the best, man, funniest guy I've ever met, but he smokes so damn much, he's not going to be around to continue making me laugh. So be selfish and help that person. You know what I mean? And at the same time, you'll be helping them. Because I just don't believe fat shaming. Fat shaming, for me, the term is reserved for coming down on people who are trying. That's wrong. And that should never be allowed. Okay? Although, again, if you're that person, you can't fat shame me because I don't give a shit what you say. I don't care. And not only do I not care, it begins to feed me, right? And then there's another fork in the road. With the fork, the good fork because somebody motivated you, the bad fork because it's all about
bowls and forks.
Right, now you're going to self-destruct. I'm going to show him who's fat by eating cookies. Wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
Huh? What? That doesn't make sense. So.
Well, that's interesting. Last week's show, we talked about having difficult conversations.
I want to wrap on the diets because, of course, I went on my circuitous rants. But again, I hope they remain pertinent. So, then blowing up again. Here's where we're going to tie everything in now. So I blew up again, probably getting girls being happy, like in high school and stuff. And at this point, I didn't have the knowledge. So you kind of crash diet, right? You kind of fad diet. You stop eating sugar out of nowhere, which doesn't, I don't know. I guess it works. I lost 130 pounds doing it, so it works. But then I immediately blew up and I felt sick doing it. And I had a bout with emotional stuff. You know, like you feel rotten. And I can speak for this specifically. So I am a man that has been at 5'6" or whatever, 5'7", whatever the hell I am. I've been 180 and I've been 325. The way people treat you, particularly women, it's enough to make you sick to your stomach. You don't, that's just a way of the world. Okay. So we can't set out to change every, innate inequity. It's not going to work that way, but I can speak to a very real. Women touch you when they pass you, when you're have muscles and skinny, or they skip you in line. They give you free stuff at the checkout. I'm dead serious because I was always somewhat handsome. I guess I always had a good personality. So once I lost the weight, I was a chick magnet. You know what I'm saying? I mean, listen, just what life is. I already put together all the pieces because I wanted the goal. But then when I put my foot down, I lost weight. Right. So the crash diets don't work. I ended up getting educated, and then what we're going to get to again, educate. But then once you educate, you have to find your comfort zone. So find the thing that works for you that's not a punishment. If a diet is a punishment, it's going to fail, or at least I'm speaking for myself now. A lot of the other stuff I dropped before, I feel more objective about, like I'll take those to court. This is more of a me thing. I found intermittent fasting was perfect. It's a hard discipline. Yes and no. Very little subjective room here. It's not, does this meet the requirements of macro and stuff like that? And it's like, we really counting calories and measuring stuff. Remember, I have young kids. You're going to be around kind of crappy food sometimes, poor food decisions around. So intermittent fasting is really awesome because it's, like I said, yes or no. And not to say you can eat whatever you want during your eating window, because I believe you'll find, like I did, that you really can't. Your appetite shrinks, and bad food, maybe partly getting old, starts to feel like, man, it's funny. Eating something I would have 2 months ago and thought nothing of, now I'm sick for like 2 days. I'm holding my stomach and I'm just dying, So they would go to like educating, right, discerning good information, applying good information, and then making that meaningful change, right? And again, once you start the path, a lot of times you'll find it's not a chore anymore. So for me, like, you couldn't get me to eat after 6 p.m. right now. You could put a fresh cannoli from Villa Bodies on 18th Avenue. I don't want it. Granted, I might have a piece of it the next day, but like, I'm not, that's gone now. And I hope that part of my life is over, but every day is a struggle, just like I sound like I know everything, but I don't.
He doesn't know everything, folks. There it is. That was a perfect line to take away from this.
Can we get Socrates involved?
Sure, why not? Let's get old ancient Greece involved. They have some interesting habits themselves.
This makes you part of the Cork Stats crew. That's my home base, my home podcast, right? And I quote Socrates at least once. Oh man, right? I cannot teach anybody anything. I can only make them think. How's that? How about this one? True knowledge exists, knowing that you know nothing. There you go.
That's a good one. I like that one. I've heard you say that one.
I don't know anything. I don't know. What I know is a grain of sand on an endless beach, right? And I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best.
Oh, that's great. We're talking with John L. here on the First Day Podcast. Don't forget, firstdaypod@protonmail.com. You can email us. If you have any questions about the already various topics that John's been covering, please email us, or you can find us on Twitter @FirstDayPod, or the Facebook page, which we are very active on. And of course on Instagram, where we do every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. special reviews of our previous shows. And we'll have to do a special one of this, Leanne, after this show is over, because there's a lot to take from this, right?
Yeah, it's huge. And the whole thing about knowing that you don't know much, it gives you the permission to be curious all the time. That's what's exciting. So I've had friends that I have been friends with forever, and they're listening to this podcast and they're like, you were asking questions that you knew the answer to. And I was like, no, I wanted to find out what their answer was, because and that's the whole thing. They're like, you sound like you don't know what you're talking about when you're on that podcast. And I'm like, yeah, because I want to hear what other people have to say, because I don't have the end all be all answer. So I think that I love that you brought Socrates up, and the curiosity portion, I think, makes us grow all the time.
Oh yeah, here's another great one I got, and it's funny. Great advice doesn't always come from lawyers and doctors and politicians. One of my favorite
politicians.
This guy was like, he was like a total mess of a person, but he was an excellent electrician, and he said, "No one is going to give it to you, Johnny. You got to go get it. No one's going to give it to you. You got to go get it. And if you wait for someone to go give it to you, other people are going to get it while you were waiting." And man, that whole let's just keep. I love quote. Can you tell? Like I love quotes, right? I love that stuff because
Leanne loves quotes too.
And again, and I feel like I try and be all over the spectrum. This one's actually Arnold Schwarzenegger, which think of him what you will. When he achieved greatness, right? I think we could say that during his Olympia days, and he has a speech he delivered to a college campus that I think it's about success. So I think if you were to Google Arnold Schwarzenegger and success. If you've heard me now for even whatever it is, 10 or 15 minutes, for me to tell you, it's maybe the most impactful thing I've ever heard. And I hope that speaks for it. And one of the key things he says in it is, you need to sleep sleep faster. You need to sleep faster, right? If you find that you're sleeping 8 or 9 hours a day, sleep faster. Because he doesn't get into the granular part of it, but that's where my mind took me is, this guy's right. 8 hours a day is 33% of your life. And if we cut that 8 to 6, that's a 25% savings. That's a 12th of your day. That's 6% of every day, 6% of your life that you can now be productive. So with 6% of your life, you could take a new hobby and master a craft. And that's kind of what I did, was I started to sleep faster. And with every increment that I gave myself, I made myself more and more productive. I found when I was as I was kind of becoming a full-grown, an adult, a grown-ass man, as they say, I would struggle arguing because I was too all over the place and I wasn't able to kind of connect the dots. So that was where I got into the lawyerisms. I knew that I needed to correct my ability to persuade. I knew that I had the information and I had a understanding of the pertinent info, but I wasn't able to convey it. So I found lawyers giving lectures on critical thinking that I really liked. I found people that I found particularly intelligent and persuasive, and I started following their work. And now when the kids are watching Blue's Clues, I spend an hour listening to great minds talk about critical thinking. And after years and years, you find people in the grocery store like, yo, man, that was really smart of you. You know what I mean? Like I'll be talking to my wife and people turn around and they're like, yo, that was crazy. Are you serious? So I'm just I just walk around spewing. I'm like the pig pen of just, I don't even know. I don't want to say like knowledge, but I'm not giving myself the credit. It's like factoids and useless nonsense.
We're talking with Pigpen. Yeah, all right. That dust cloud behind him is a cloud of knowledge, though. Exactly. Yeah, it's.
Mike, how do you feel about that? About the sleeping faster portion of it? Because I'm all for it. As you know.
I can help you do it. Would you like the trick?
Yes, I would like the trick.
All right, here we go. Again, it's more than just theory when it comes to me. You can't ever just come to me with theory. You have to come to me with application, or I'm going to tell you to go back to the classroom, right? Because I don't want to hear about potential change. We're making changes. The difference, the total difference. So, okay, to sleep faster, I was kicking myself, and I started to do research, right? That's your best bet. I kind of went in knowing that sleep research is a bit wonky. It's not a hard science necessarily, right? There's some subjective stuff, and it's very case by case is probably what I should have said. It's very individualized, right? So you got to be careful for anecdotal stuff. I knew there was going to be trial and error is what I mean. So I started researching, and I read about sleep efficiency. So I would suggest people, if you're looking for a starting point, go from there. And there was this doctor who did a study that said, your body releases like enzymes or endorphins on 3-hour cycles. And the theory behind this study was if you can time to wake up on that cycle, then you'll wake up refreshed. The anecdotal evidence he was using as proof was sometimes you sleep a whole night, you feel like crap, and sometimes you sleep half that, and you feel great. His objective backing was this. Now, I hope I'm not getting hopes too high because I was not able to do this. man, think about 3-hour windows. Like if you're caught trying to make yourself say, okay, I have to stay up for another hour and 20 minutes in the middle of the night, let's say. Like, what if you're up doing a podcast, you're up researching, you're writing an article, you're with the kids? It becomes very, very difficult. This is for like single people, right? That I don't even know, work on their own. Like, you have to have a very malleable lifestyle. Like, and I do, but even for me, that didn't work. So it was back to the drawing board. People suggested to me snooze button, right? And I thought, man, that's so silly. I never understood. I'm going to get somewhere with this, believe it or not. You hit the snooze button. 10 minutes is not enough I feel like worse after 10 minutes of a snooze button. Intuitive me. What if I made the snooze an hour? Okay. Try it out. The thing goes off. You're mad. You're upset, just like you'd always be waking up. But because you're so tired, I get to go back to sleep for an hour. Oh my God, I'm going back to sleep for an hour. I'm going back to sleep for an hour. And you go back to sleep for an hour, and I would wake up refreshed. And I said, holy hell, that was awesome. Because remember, commercial electrician, particularly in New York City, very early to rise. The reason being, once New York City opens, like when we were alive and Earth was on schedule, it's very hard to get delivery trucks through Midtown. So they want us in Midtown at 7 o'clock in the morning. If you live in the outer boroughs, man, you're up at 4:15 to get the subway in. We're really early risers. So if you got to get up at 4 o'clock, very difficult. Well, what's the difference between 4 o'clock and 3 o'clock? And I started setting it for 3 o'clock. And that hour changed my life. Changed my life. I can't promise that it will change yours. But I would say to think about the unorthodox method I took, right? It's very simple. I've never heard it before. And usually when I tell people about it, I get very weird kind of, whoa. And it's very simple theory. You wake up, you were going to be pissed off anyway. You still wake up pissed, but this time, and if you're me, you're getting older, maybe you go to the bathroom for a second. But then you have a full hour and you sleep and you wake up the second time. And I felt phenomenal. It translated into quality of life. It translated to more productivity. And it kind of took off from there. That was it changed me,
In general, how much did you sleep before that hour? Like, what were you sleeping before the alarm would go off?
6 hours max, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Because again, if you're waking up at 4 and you're kind of man, I'm a young guy, I'm having fun, you're out, TV, even if it's TV, friends or girls or whatever, to be in bed at 10 o'clock as a 27-year-old man, on your own is like, it's unheard of. There were how many nights I was out the whole night and went to work the next day, and it's the joke. They knew we went to the bar to be puke outside the A train station anyway. I used to be so bad. I was so bad.
Well, I mean, I believe in sleeping. It seems important to me. But
no, it is.
No. But if you're right, maybe it could be 6 hours, but I seem to be so much better if I'm 7 hours at least. It's just how I feel. But then that's like you said, it has to be whatever works for you,
Yeah, I think that's your answer, Mike. Right. That one, like when it comes to wealth, I'll be very forward. I'll be very assertive that I think you should do what I've done because, I feel like I can back that. This is more, and again, I'm very careful about that. I don't want to tell, this I can't tell you. What I wanted to, the main point was be experimental. If you're not happy with results, when you're not happy with results, continue to bang that machine, just keep hitting it because you might find the weakness. Right? Yes. Like trying to beat a boss in Mario or something. You're playing him for hours and you finally find out, if I jump on the tail, I got to get him. And then, it'll just change you. So I think the strive for improvement is a good, probably maybe the biggest bowl we have. That's the salad bowl, spinning on the giant broomstick because that's what it's all about. If you don't want to get better, then whatever, go watch TV. Like I have no time for you. Was it you that had the triage conversation with Mike?
Yeah.
We had the triage conversation. Okay, great. This is great. This is pertinent for right now. All of us are in these situations. I'm in it right now, trying to help people I don't know, and some I do know. You guys are constantly trying to help people is what you do. God bless you guys. Everybody does, right? We're always trying to help our wives, our kids, our parents. It never ends. You can't do it. Just like I said, trying to tackle innate inequities in society. Like, listen, I get it. That hero, I get it. those are macro goals.
Yeah,
right?
saving. Yeah, I understand what you mean.
Saving the world is a macro goal. All right, and it often fails.
There will. I think it's a harsh reality. There will unfortunately always be inequities in human existence. Unfortunately,
yes, and
I'm not proud of it, and I'm not saying that's the way it should be, but I just.
Dude, we're getting into the part of the conversation where people stop liking me because that's where it gets cold. Listen, the world's a cold, hard place, and I've hurt people, and I truly feel bad about some of the things I've done, and that's why, Mike, I was telling you that, it's my past that's kind of driven me to now. I just help people openly. And some of the stuff that I put out on Twitter, like I could charge for, I could get money for those charts and the baseball stuff. That I don't care. I want to help because I've put out negative. At this point, I feel like I'm now a net positive to the world. But, I think it's important to change, to try and impart change. Back to the triage mentality. There's so much bad. There's so much evil. And there's so many people who accept it. They embrace it. They don't want to change it. That when I say triage, you have to think of like a battlefield. You go to help somebody. And if they're, leaking and you can't save them, even if they're there and still taking air, you have to move on. And it hurts.
Wow.
Think of it as an important test. Mike, you got 2 hours. You got to get 100 of these 500 questions right. And you say, 500 questions? How am I going to do 500 questions? That's the point. They want to see who's going to get stuck on one. The first question may be the hardest one. The first one may not have an answer. The next 499 may be 2 plus 1, 1 plus 1, 2 plus 0. But you didn't know that because you're stuck trying to hammer this. I got to get this answer. That's micro. Step back. Always take out the lens, people. Zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. That's a very pertinent strategy in trading, right? You could look at I could show you a chart, right, of, where am I? Right there, where it's this much and you see it all going down. But if we were to zoom out, you'd see I'm actually looking at Amazon and it's done nothing but go up. And the part that you saw going down was a couple days. So again, we're tying in perspective, right? We're tying in actionable change, how to look at things and how things, man, let's spin another giant ball. Appearance versus reality is just, and discerning the difference between the two, when it matters and when to plant your flag and fight for it. These are important things that, again, go into triage. How much time are we spending on problems? Mike, you may solve a problem. I may solve 25 in the same time, and it's not that, it's just, you got to be efficient, right? Or you notice I'm always banging these same buzzwords. I get up in the morning. I have a purpose. To me, life is not static. Life is dynamic, extremely dynamic. So I do not believe in lateral movements. I don't believe that you are the same as you were yesterday. If you didn't improve, you've gotten worse. And that's another hard, people hate to hear, oh, what do you mean? Yes. Sorry. Those are, that's how I squeeze the lemon. That's what it is. For me, that's what it is. It's just how I work. I don't really know how to argue it.
That's a law of nature. If you're not living, you're dying. That's fact.
Some people think that there is such a thing as maintenance, maintaining. Yeah, I agree with you, Lee. I really do. I do. And I think, time is so precious, right? We're with efficiency. And if you're trying to make change is defined by rates. Rate is defined by time, and time is finite. So if you take that logical path, if you want change, you better get on it yesterday. Start yesterday. Start yesterday, and make the plan. I like to write plans. That's a little weird. People I often find think that's strange. Like I have a written trading plan, and people often. What's that?
Why is that weird?
Well, I don't know. People don't write things anymore. You know what I'm saying? People don't write.
He's right.
Rules.
They don't.
People don't write things, so I have written rules.
Leanne, you're talking to the right person, John, because Leanne loves to write things down. She loves to journal. She loves planning.
Is it available? Yeah. You guys, I'll help you promote your stuff after. I'm going to check it out now.
So, no, we had this conversation today. I have a mastermind that we do every Sunday morning at 7:45. And we were talking about this.
She willingly gets up that early every Sunday morning, just for the record. So
I've been up for like 2 hours at that point, Mike, just so you know.
Right.
I've been up reading already. I'm up reading, so it's okay.
Yeah, there's always people that are at different levels. And that's the whole thing too, is that you need to be surrounding yourself with the people that are going to get you to where you want to be. But one of the things that we were talking about is we don't have to make that choice to grow. Like you don't. And it is okay if you want to, like when we're talking about just staying stagnant, if you want to do that, that's okay. But what you have to do is you have to look in your heart to see what you want, because I don't believe anybody wants to be stagnant. It's just easier. So anything that you're taking from here, anything that John is talking about, you don't have to look at it and be at his like hyper Brooklyn, I'm New York and I'm going to take you out. This is what we're going to do. You can just, take you out, I guess was a really bad.
Okay, right there. I love it.
So, but you don't have to be at that take any little piece of this episode, one, and apply it. And you're golden. You're in that next step for you. That's
you know what I've been called also? I've been called, I mean, I have been called many things. I have been called many things. No, I love I really do. I love the analogies. I don't mind. I had someone call me. I had somebody call me the dog track rabbit once, and that stuck. And the idea was this. So
one step ahead.
Leanne, you not accidentally, because you were driving a good point, but you kind of opened the door to something else that's really pertinent, right? So
okay, great.
You don't have to maintain my speed, but I'll tell you something you do have to do. Understand that some people are. Okay. So the racetrack rabbit, dog track rabbit. Your dog may be running pretty fast, but if it's not faster than the other dogs, which is not faster than the rabbit, you're still going to lose. And you may, and again, you may have gotten faster than the last time you ran. So you're improving, which is good if that's what you're striving for. But my thing is, a lot of my push for improvement comes from this terror that other people are improving faster than I am. You know, I'll give you a perfect example. He's in the digital room as we speak, right? So fantasy baseball. Again, back to ubiquitous information, people taking advantage of the information age. There are brilliant people doing this work. How do you stay ahead? If I'm not working on it, Mike is. Mike's putting out articles and audio and new stuff. He's incorporating humor in new ways that really has not been done before. So I could look at my phone or watch the news, or I don't mean to hang out with my kids, because again, when I hang out with my kids, I make that work for me in two paths. I'm being a good parent by spending with them, but I'm also not turning off my brain. I got the background on, something's going on, and I'm trying to stay sharp because of people like Mike, because of the countless other people who are, Mike, don't take this wrong, who are coming after me, let's say. You know what I mean? I don't mean it like that. I don't mean it like that. Really,
let's not sugarcoat either, though. It's competitive. So, yeah sure, I think it actually needs to be said that way.
Yeah. And it's, you know what's funny also? I think this is really interesting, because you would think, having heard me say that I'm so motivated by others, it's theoretical for me, because I believe in the rising tide that lifts all ships. So I don't see it as I need to get better in competition with you, Mike. I need to be better because we're both getting better. Yeah. You know, like this tide is going to rise. And, you know, I've referred to our new kind of crew, we're the new world order, right? That's us. We're this new kind of highly analytical, high energy, high personality fantasy baseball circle that we're in, you know, is in stark contrast to what we've had in decades past. A stuffed shirt and a very serious, well, guess what? I'm coming after you. You know, that's competition, because I feel like I'm delivering it better than you. But I also can't be the only person to give it. So I don't worry myself with, I need to be better than Mike, or I need to be better than Matt. And I think that's potentially dangerous to put yourself up against other people like that, because
comparison's the death of joy, man. It is.
Yeah. My competition is in one place, and it's in the mirror, and that's it. You know,
Amen.
I want competition. I go right to the mirror. You stick my fat finger right in my face and say, listen, dude, you know, you got to get it together, or you got to do this, or you got to do that. And if not, then just accept that you suck and you are okay sucking. Because what's not okay for me, what I have a very low tolerance for, is people complaining without the effort. That you want to, I just might be one of the nicest people I know, you know, and I've become that way. But don't expect the time, the effort, the graces, if you're not going to help yourself, you're going to get out what you put in. That goes to everything. No one's going to give you squat. And I've had people say, man, John, I don't even get it. Like, you're like betting on baseball. My betting algorithm has over 2,000 man hours in it. While you were sleeping, I was back testing. I was coding. I was watching tape. I was running correlations. Okay. Like I was working. So it's not my fault that I was working, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. Right. But again, there's that thing is every time that maybe this is my own paranoia, like I was saying, every time you stop, someone is gaining on you. That's how I see it. I don't know how to see it other than that, because I worry sometimes, even when I'm moving at pace, that people are gaining. So I can't like fundamentally digest that me staying still, which again, we've already established, Lee, right, Mike, that staying still is a reversion. So even if the reversion is, orders of magnitude slower than the progression, it's still allowing for that disparity gap to be closed. So I'm always holding myself up to a very high level, and again, you've got to use your strengths. My strength is gosh, I don't know what happened. I just born with extra RAM, right? I mean, I don't know what the processor just is stuck. The juicer is stuck on high. And what if I told you that this is me on my best behavior? Most people are shocked. And if you can only imagine how it gets around me in the par with a couple whiskeys in me, and don't get me wrong, I'm no longer like, oh my God, I don't want that guy's nuts, because I used to get that like, yo, get your stuff. Let's get out of here. Now, I mean, it comes off like a movie. Before you know it, I'm standing on a bar stool telling stories like the mayor of a pub. You know what I mean? And I just, because I love people, man. I'm telling you, I've had a couple near-death experiences, and I think maybe that plays into it. Like I'm afraid, once you've seen the Reaper kind of come for you. I don't know if you guys have been through that. It's an interesting discussion always, but I've had a couple. So like, I'll give you one. Like I got held up, right? We got mugged. In front of a public library when I was in like, I don't know, man, maybe I was like 15 years old, right? So here's a good story, right? Because these are stories that crumble people. You can crumble, or like the phoenix, you can rise from the ashes. You can tell yourself it's adversity that defines character, and it's getting off the mat that defines who you are, right? So here we go, long story short. And of course, as a young kid, man, we were just abusing drugs, just no cares for the world. We were all really smart guys. We're all in specialized schools. And we kind of thought that like gave us an excuse, right? We thought like, oh, mom can't be mad at me. I'm a straight A student. I just happen to be, chewing a dozen pills of ecstasy every Friday night or whatever. Anyway, so we're partying our balls off, eyes popping out of our heads, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, man, let's go get some, whatever. The stupidest thing sounds smart in the middle of the night. Let's go get some razzles. I haven't had a razzle in 25 years. What the fuck is a razzle? All right, so let's go to the store and get razzles. And, of course, we're really stupid, walking around a bad neighborhood and, wear these guineas with the big silver chains and the big Nautica jackets that was hip at the time with, like, reflectors on them. So it's like, come find me. I'm the idiot, with money and all this shit on me because I'm so smart, right? This is what I do. And, of course, the chain is out. Just, it's a total idiot. All of us. And, we see a couple hoods. And listen, we were never afraid. We were scrappers. You know what I mean? Like, if you want my stuff, you might get it, but you might be, finding it out that you got it in the hospital, right? Like, I don't go down without a fight. So I was never scared. And I remember the kid asked me for a cigarette because we were smoking, which is also a no-no outside in the city at nighttime, especially in like a rough neighborhood, because you're inviting that. You're inviting people to engage you and ask for it.
That bum of smoke. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm smoking, of course, because that's what cool people on drugs do, like an idiot. I no longer smoke. I quit that addiction, by the way.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Oh, that's the worst. God, that's the worst. And he asked for a cigarette, and I told him whatever, I don't have one. And I kind of saw him, what I thought was lunge. So I thought we were getting ready to fight, which, fine, whatever, is kind of what we do. And I go to like kind of grab him, and then I see the shine, and it turns out, he's carrying like a piece. But not, and as we're kind of under the streetlights now, I mean, again, we're here talking addiction, so the cheekbones of crack addiction, the cheekbones of crack addiction were well displayed. These kids were, oh my God, skeletons, and the gun probably weighed more than him. but it was a cannon. I mean, it was not that it matters. You're going to die anyway, but there really is something to seeing a loaded 45, let's say, compared to maybe a 22 or like a little revolver. Again, I'm not saying like, oh, if it was a 22, I would have said, put it right here. I'm just saying, like, you're looking at this thing, and I remember just turning white. They separated us. They separated me from my friends, probably because I was the biggest, not like intimidating big, but I was just the biggest. Maybe I look like I'd give them the most problems. I don't know, whatever. And they separated us, and they took them aside to kind of rob them and tell them they were going to kill me, and he cocked it, he cocked it in front of me to show me it was loaded. And he put it up to my head. And you're shit.
How
man.
old are you this time?
15.
15 or 16, maybe. Yeah.
Jeez.
And all of a sudden, the rap songs are real, right? All the bullshit that people are talking like. And again, side bowl to all you people on social media talking about violence and what you're going to do. Most of you are not doing anything. You're going to wet yourself, okay? You're going to wet yourself. Because if I come for you, you're probably in a lot of trouble. And unless you have experience, like other things in life, when you get met with the real game, when you get met with game speed and how things develop with people that have experience, you're going to find yourself in a world of trouble that you never expected. And I got news for you. Everybody should have gotten slapped at least once. And if you never got slapped, I mean slapped where everything went, whoa. We're not talking about where it hurts. We're not talking about pain. We're talking about the realization of,
you will lose everything. Yeah.
Change of perspective, that'll change you. Off that pole, back to where we're going. So it was the fear of God, rightfully so. I thought I was going to die, and they were just messing with me. Ended up not killing me, thank God. It was funny. Even in one of the good things about living your life on the red line, like I do in 6th gear all the time, is I've always been excellent under pressure. It probably makes sense. I mean, I don't brag about a lot of stuff. I'll tell you, I'm just a moderate trader. I'm just a moderate baseball analyst. I think I'm a fantastic dad, but like. When it comes to pressure, I'm the guy you want because I live in pressure. Like I am pressure. When things speed up, I hate comparing myself to greats, but I feel this way. And again, I really feel the conviction. Things slow down for me, frame by frame almost in critical moments. And I always make the right decision.
You become the fear. There's nothing to fear because you become it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, Mike. I wish I could take credit for it. I just
know not necessarily. It's just not like you intentionally did it necessarily. It's just the way you live, the way you are. You're built for it. So
yeah. So when it happened, I see it cocked, and amazing at this, I had clarity come over me, and I looked away from him to say, "Listen, man, because I'm fit now." It's funny how clear I was able to think because most people, I said, "Listen, man, it's dark. I'm not even looking at you. I can't identify you guys." I said, "If you pull that trigger." You're going to put my brains on this library. The police are going to be looking for you for the rest of your life. And you're not going to end up with any more money than you have right now. Take the stuff. Dude, call it a win. Just take the shit and just go. No one cares. I ain't going to come after you. And, you kind of you're hitting them with the lingo. Man, listen, man, we're street. I get you. You got, you would say on the street, you got. So if you've ever heard that phrase, I got. They got me. I got. And listen, it is what it is. I'm not saying I've ever really
taken the L.
People. I'm not an offensive. I was never an offensive person. As a fat youth being picked on when I became the man that could defend himself, I'm the defender now. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I have gone on offense. You smack a woman in the bar, I'm going to blindside you. I'm going to put you through the fire hydrant outside. And we used to kind of make a name for ourselves as somewhat street superheroes, because there's a lot more of that bullying and intimidation from people who, because you could slap her around, you could slap him around. Not to be tough, but why don't you try slapping us around? Why don't you all of a sudden you go, no, man, no, I didn't mean nothing by. You already took your hands out. You already, listen, when you drink in bars every night, like I used to every night, multiple bars, Bay Ridge in Brooklyn used to be the best. You don't have to drive and you could walk. I don't know if you guys probably never been there, but it's Brooklyn's kind of has like a downtown in South Brooklyn almost. And
Leanne loves New York City. Don't be fooled.
It's restaurants. It's comparable with Manhattan itself. It's on par with Manhattan. There's a piece of Brooklyn and popping. You could just, I mean, literally, got to be scores of bars, 50, 60, 80 bars, restaurants everywhere. So people out in the street, it's nuts, man. It was crazy. But we'd be out.
Leanne wants us to get married in Central Park, so yeah.
Oh, listen,
I'll be there.
Well, it's a beautiful place, man. I hope if that's what you guys want, I hope you get it. It's beautiful. You know, New York City can be a wonderful spot.
Let me say two things. You said a lot here, and I want to real quick. So real back, when you said there's competition with people that you're competing with yourself, it's a marketplace that exists. So you are competing to improve yourself in a market. If you're going to be involved in the public and put yourself in a market,
I disagree, Mike.
Well, no, you're not competing against it, but you're raising the level and you're taking things to a new spot, and that's fine.
Yeah, I got you, but for me, it's internal, and I want to make it clear that, how do I put this?
Because I'm raising up people with you. I get it. I'm supporting what you're saying. I don't know. I'm not saying what I want to say properly, hononestly.
No, and I'm not taking any kind of spite towards it. I don't think.
No, I don't think you do. I don't.
Yeah, okay. What I mean is, all right. Let's use us, because now it might be beneficial to actually kind of be granular and have an actual example. For us, Mike, content is our commodity, right? That's the thing we exchange in.
Yes.
I to imply that there's competition or to imply that there's even a market is a little bit outside of my purview in the way I approach it, because I don't. My approach is this. You know, and the story I've kind of famously told now at this point was, no, man, I've kind of come pretty far in the analyst circle in a very short time. I guess, you know what I mean? Like from what I've heard. And man, this is gonna be good, because we're gonna get into some really other important stuff, like how you're gonna better yourself. One of the best ways to better yourself is to value yourself, right? So that means to say no, okay? I have said no to more offers than I've said yes. And that's why, I don't know who else listens to this, I'm one of the higher, paid in this game that we play. Because I say no. They offer and I say no. And then someone else might offer and they might offer higher and I might say no. You know, and you have to be willing to say no. But that kind of comes with the other stuff I was talking about before, with monetizing hobbies and having multiple income streams, because that really, I mean, now we're kind of fast forwarding. That's the end goal. Multiple income streams is the final doorway to financial independence. And I mean, I'm serious. I haven't worked in 3 years. My wife hasn't worked in 10.
We got it on the board right here, man. Our goals for 2021 was to have, I know this sounds dumb. It says create 10 streams of passive income. I don't even know what that means, but we're trying. We're trying.
It's lofty. I would have replaced 10, a definitive number, with the word several or maybe multiple, because that way you won't fail. Like, let's put it this way, Mike. Seven would be 30% miss, which is kind of a fail, but it's a tremendous success.
Right, but Leanne always says, hey, shoot for $1 million, you make 250,000 still. That's great.
Okay, providing that it doesn't deflate you. Okay, yes, I agree. Right. She's right. Oh, aim for the moon. The moon. But yeah, I guess, this is probably just a matter of perspective about goal setting. You know, we're like, listen, I'd be lying if I said I'm done at 20 pounds, but I didn't want to start out saying I'm going to lose 100 pounds, because then if you gain 5, I didn't want to feel deflated. So again, you know,
that's different though. There's a difference with, like, I don't know. Some reason to me, I see a difference between like weight and goal setting in that realm as opposed to money.
Why?
Because it seems like I've never had money anyway. So for some reason I got more, it'd be cool with it. But I've always had the weight. So I'm going to make that much more realistic to try to get down to 20 pounds. You know what I mean? I see a huge difference there.
All right, hold on. Let's get to brass tacks. Let's get serious again, right? You said something just too critical to let slide. That you don't have money. I mean,
thank you. Go ahead, John.
This is where people get mad. This is where people get mad because it gets cold. So my first thing is like, why? You know, you're of age, or you're infinitely talented. You're very smart. You seem business-minded. So if I were to ask you, Mike, we talk about self-auditing. Do you waste? Do you not have a proper budget? Like, I'm putting you on the spot. I don't care. Cut me off. Cut off my feed, bro. You know? But seriously, right? There's an objective answer. Do you know? I mean...
No, I don't have a budget. You're right. There's not a laid-out written budget. It's all in my head.
Okay, so that's one. That's a problem. But now that also, not having a budget is not enough to create the problem, right? So
I waste money on food too. I waste money on just buying dumb shit.
On food. Okay, paying premiums, and then to the subset of food.
Yes.
Two very important points. Two things. I mean, maybe I should write one of these. God, I always thought they were so corny. Not like a self-help.
I know you mean. Me and Leanne have always had this debate because Leanne loves that stuff, and she's always been very honest, though. She's very genuine. The self-improvement type coaching world, like, you would kill it, man. You really would kill it.
But but now we have a chance. We were starting with you right now. I want to know what's going on. So you said no budget. I was preparing myself for I don't make enough money, which is a general. Now, I mean, there are a lot of other ways to make more money. One is just sheer blunt force. You could get a low-paying job.
Mm-hmm. Right. I just quit my job recently, so.
I would congratulate. I don't know I hope you're happy. If you're happy, I'm happy.
I did it because of COVID. I was worried about COVID. It was you had to go somewhere, and I didn't want to be there.
Yeah. Well, again, I can't. I can't speak for that stuff. I don't let that stuff stand in the way of my money. That's me personally. Again, there's an ignorance. There has to be certain ignorance and kind of cold. Whether let me put it this way. Right, like bravery and stupidity often toe this. They're on opposite sides of a very thin fence. Right.
Yes, I agree.
And sometimes I often talk about arrogance and confidence the same way. Mm-hmm. Be willing to end up on the wrong side of the fence, because it's a fear of ending up on the wrong side of the fence that might keep you from greatness. If you find yourself on the wrong side of the fence too often, then you should work on your approach. Okay. But don't be afraid.
Well, no, that's why I quit. I quit the job as a risk. That was a risk.
Yeah, but did you have a bet? Like most people would say, you don't quit a job without another one. COVID in particular, I'm not going to tell you how to handle your health. Like, that's not my. I'm not a doctor. I don't have. Those are answers I don't have, and I shouldn't have even said I would have done it like to imply that you should. I shouldn't have. I'm just stupid. You know what I mean? Like, I'm stupid. And that's
you got to be you.
That's part of my charm. Being stupid is part of my charm. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But okay. No. Come on. Let's get real. Okay, so. You could smash your head against the wall and get a low-paying job, or you could wake up 45 minutes earlier every day and learn about something that you're interested in. Let's use me. I don't mind using myself. Right, I've had my failures. I've tried all types.
I don't mind either, man. I'm just like you.
My story is actually interesting, right? Because so I was in it's part of this is really, it breaks my heart, but I need to talk about these things because it keeps me mad, because it keeps me motivated. So I went to special schools, and all the kids I went to high school with are all celebrities now, right? So So
you talk on special schools, you mean like elite, big time?
Yeah.
Like prep school, best of the best.
Well, yeah. You ever heard? I went to Regis High School. So Regis High School is a fully endowed Catholic school for Jesuits on the Upper East Side in 86th Street in Lexington in Manhattan. It's like in a castle that you would never know is a school unless you walk in the one hallway.
Did you grow up in Brooklyn though?
No. It's in Upper East Side in Manhattan.
No. But did you grow up in Brooklyn?
Yeah,
or did you grow up there?
Yeah, no, I'm born and bred in Brooklyn.
Okay.
But this school, you need recommendations and all types of stuff. Mm-hmm. So.
Big deal.
Anyway, yeah, it's funny. So, of course, they used to beg me to write for the school newspaper, right? To write the funny stuff. And, you want to see what, there was one person, actually, so we had pep rallies, right? And I was never into that stuff. I'm doing drugs and banging girls. I'm not into this shit. But I wish I was, because, again, you want people want a lesson in the world that I failed. Play the game sometimes, people. It may seem stupid. Play the games, get your ends. You're not compromising yourself getting ahead within the rules of the system. Anyway. So they begged me to do the pep rally, the big pep rally for the last game, whatever, the big basketball game, whatever, and I finally gave in. Now, here's why this is funny. Who was the person that I took the role from, who just wanted to be me in the worst way? He's the host of Saturday Night Live, fucking newsroom now. And he married Scarlett Johansson. I can't believe it.
Oh, Colin Yost?
Yeah. It was totally. Wow. I used to abuse him in high school. He wanted to be me so bad. Well, dude, if you hear this, you can suck it, but you got the last laugh. You're still dude, and it's funny because it really, even to this day, you could see that. Look, he played the game. He stayed within the rules, and he hit a lotto. He's a stuffed shirt, talentless clown. These people with 25, they have rooms of writers and could not get a percentage of the laughs that I get ad-lib.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
They're phony. They're stuffed shirt. They are husks of human beings.
I will say, by society standards, he's handsome, though. By society's standards, not mine.
I could care less. I don't care at all. He's supposed to be based on talent. He's not a model, right?
Yeah, but you know that stuff matters, John. Like, look at all the CEOs of all the big 500, right? The CEOs always have a certain look. They got to be a certain height. They got to have this certain look. If you do it, the research is out there. It shows you. I don't like it, but that's how it is.
I'm going to get to use one of my coin terms. I've been the victim of weight supremacy. There are weight supremacists out there.
Yes.
Tons of weight supremacists everywhere.
Yes.
And I've been told that if I wanted to front a sports show, I had to lose weight. I've been told that.
Oh, my God.
No, so it's real. I get it. It's real. I don't understand why my picks would be any less reliable. Although, believe it or not, I actually, long story short, I won this paragraph contest to get a personal meeting from a legend on Wall Street. And one of the first things he said when he saw me was, "You fail at trading because you're fat. You have no discipline." I was like, wow. He said, "Look at you." He said, "You're fat and disgusting. You have no discipline in your life." He goes, "Why would I trust you if you can't keep a cupcake out of your mouth? Why would I trust you with $1 million?" And I was like, wow.
Wow.
Dude, that's a winning attitude. I was like, you're the man.
It's just so refreshing to hear that's the truth. That's the truth. People say that. People think like that.
Some people would have crippled. He said, "I would look at you and say, you're too fat to handle my money." And I was like, well, I'm not going to eat it, And he said, but it's not that. It's you're showing. And then, there's another one too. He said, show me your hands, guilty, bitten fingernails. He said, "I'd never trust you with my money."
Wow.
So
that's detail oriented, but also seems like.
Well, remember, it's that's like mentalist type stuff. You're wearing your personality. You're wearing your flaws, whether or not you believe it or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
The way you do one thing is the way you do all things.
Yeah. You ever hear there's a famous Henry Ford story? You guys know the story with that? Okay, so there's a good story also, very applicable. Henry Ford, back in the heyday, right, when they were building the conglomerate, he had somebody in for a promotion, I believe it was, whatever, let's say VP, whatever it was. He had somebody over for promotion. He had them over for dinner. The person was served their dinner and put salt on it. And immediately Ford said, "I know you don't get the job." Said, "You salted it before you tasted it."
Wow, I've never heard that before.
Yeah, you added salt before you tasted it. You adjusted. You made an adjustment without knowing first. So I can't trust you because you're not thorough. You know what I mean? You're not thorough, and you allow blind. And if you allow blind spots in your dinner, what would you do with my $1 million? Right? So
I mean, it's a classic anti-Semite, but the story still makes sense. So,
Legendary racist. Racist. I am. I didn't mean.
No, the story two things can be true at the same time. Two things can be true at the same time. I always say this.
We went from the great thinkers, we have famous actors and bodybuilders, and now we have legendary racists. And
there you go. Yeah. That's always been a part of this country's legacy, unfortunately. But I want to go back. So go back to the focus of the school, though. Let's go back to Regis. So you were on a track there. I want to continue with that story.
Yeah, okay. So I was on track, to kind of do something special, right? But I was being very stupid. And also, parents, man, you have a bigger hand in your child's future than you think, maybe. And it's not happened from, that like the butterfly analogy, right? If you squeeze too hard, you're going to crush it. And if your hand is too open, it's going to fly away. So, right, your child's future is the butterfly in hand, and it's your job to maintain the nuance, the balance. So I was this very rebellious child. And again, man, I made it into Regis as a nobody, a street kid with nothing, absolutely nothing. I'm telling you, you look through the yearbook, who is on Fox News right now, who's on CNN,
there's a Wikipedia page. I'm looking at it right now. There's Academy Award winners, Bill Condon. I mean,
it's unbelievable. It's absolutely the who's who.
Definitely.
Listen, they again, I mean, all right, I'll do a little self-aggrandizing, just a little bit. They seek out very unique individuals, and it's an insanely hard academic test. But then there's rigorous interview processes. So like it's very much. Yeah, I mean, there was one day.
So just to even be there is a huge, big deal. Just to even get there.
Whatever, yeah. And to graduate.
It is. No, right?
Well, and to graduate with honors didn't really do much for me. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Well, whatever. I mean, whatever. Again, all this stuff is formative. It's all formative. And if I didn't make those glaring mistakes then, I wouldn't be with my smoking hot wife right now. I honestly might be a Wall Street stuffed shirt. And I know it's funny. It's gonna be hard for me to say, but it's the truth. I think I'm happier now than I would be with the Coke straw and the millions in the loft somewhere. No, I mean,
clubs
I'm
yeah.
telling you, I have found I have found true fulfillment in my life, and it came partially through gaining financial independence. Meaning the process of how hard I was working to get there, along with, again, we talked about the bowl of time, how important that ticking clock is.
Pain and lessons of pain, though, right? Wasn't that
Oh man, failure is everything.
Remember what I said in the chat before we did the show, when I said that point about that's why I think everybody should have to go through some hard times, because it makes better people. I didn't get to extrapolate that. What I meant is what you're saying is I'm a better person for the addiction, and I lost everything, and I pissed off everybody, and nobody liked me, and I was as low as you could get, but I'm a better person for it. And I actually I'm kind of glad it happened. And oddly enough, I know it sounds weird.
Don't be ashamed. You're fulfilled. You're happy. And you should not be. Guess what? You've already won. You've got the hard part in place. Now you just add a couple bucks to remember, man, the cash chase is very dangerous. I fell into the trap. Let's tie it into the story. So now I'm in this special school. I'm trying to figure out what I do with my life while I'm living a double life. I mean, quite literally, I'm gaining honors in the most prestigious high school in the entire country while I'm abusing drugs on the weekend.
Like the gun to your head thing in high school. That was the same time. So
yeah, right. All the stuff. Right. I was bad. I was bad. I was bad. Other kids that I knew were working on internships and like how they were going to better themselves or becoming Eagle Scouts. And I'm like crushing ecstasy pills and eating acid at the same time, going to raves, dealing drugs, because I was always money minded. So like dealing drugs I lived to deal drugs. Like it was the rush, plus you were cool. You were hooked into all the neighborhoods. You were hooked in all the people, plus the fast cash, plus the fast drugs, Plus, I mean, listen, you're getting girls. People are throwing themselves at you. Guys and girls just want to be with you. They want to be around you. Now you got the nice car, for that level or whatever. And like, it's very addictive. The more than the drugs, that lifestyle. But again, I knew what I wanted to be as somebody, because I really kind of felt bad that come Monday morning, when we're all crawling out of the sewer, I was going to school and getting educated. And most of the kids were just, scratching around on the streets and stuff, trying to find the next fix or whatever it is. I don't mean, we were junkies. We were a very particular subset of drug addict. At the time,
they do exist. I know what you mean. I really do.
At the time, we were called garbage heads. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, I remember that term.
Yeah, garbage heads would just do everything. So we would tell you, like, I'm not a drug addict. I don't do cocaine every day. But like, we were doing drugs every day. But it was just weird that it was ketamine and smoking dust on ecstasy with acid. I mean, all at the same time, mind you, all at the same time, doing all this crazy shit at once. And of course, the whole time you're drinking and smoking pot. I mean, forget that pot was like air. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just a bananas lifestyle.
I think like 90s version of the Basketball Diaries when I hear this.
Dude, it was a lot, but what that was doing for me in the negative, of course, was hurting my prospects, my future, and all these things. But it was getting me life experience and surrounding me with, man, remember, different kinds of knowledge. When people say there's book smarts and there's street smarts, that shit is real, okay? And you're going to have all the book smarts in the world. If you have a zero, you hang a goose egg in street smarts, you're going to end up behind the 8 ball. You're not going to succeed. So I would see sharp people with no common sense. I'd see common sense. I know people that could make money and eat like John Travolta and Look Who's Talking. You're like, what? This guy just walks in somewhere, he's schmoozing, before you know it, he walks out with a sandwich and cash in his pocket, and he's getting high, and you're like, dude, you had no money when we started today. And that they just do. They're so slick. They had hustles. Yo, man, I could buy DVDs from the bootleg guy for $3 and I had some for $5. And then you're like, wow, man, you're a freaking genius, hustling the way that you are. So I was picking up these dual educations at the same time, So fast forward a little bit. This is funny. I mentioned this to you in the chat. You should be proud of this. But I ended up, all the worlds kind of crashed together at once. And I got arrested, and it was bad. So it was a B felony arrest, which is 11 years in jail, the sentence, 9 to 11 years. So at 18 years old, you're talking about your entire life now. It was a shock that in this, I think it was the same month, I think I got a full academic scholarship to college and a felony arrest like in the same month. Which
wow, dude, that is so.
And like,
that sums it all up.
This isn't like the kid, the academic, the nerd that got caught, smoking at his graduation party. Like, we got nabbed with duffel bags and we were in trouble. We got caught. We were dealing. Again, like I said, it wasn't bags of weed. It was bags of duffel bags of weed. We were, again, that at 14 and 15, we were selling the bags. And by the time we get to 18, we were selling to the drug dealers, kind of moving up the ladder. And then when ecstasy hit, it's funny, these academic schools, these are commuter schools, right? They're called that for a reason. The connections come from everywhere now. You know what I mean? So New York City particularly can be very compartmentalized. I think we all can be very compartmentalized, right? Whether it's the small town or whatever the case may be. Now you're introducing me to other, weird, eccentric brainiacs. And now granted, a graduating class was only 100 people, but I only needed 2 or 3 of those to be lunatics like me, some fringe, maniac. And now we're cooking with Crisco. And that's kind of what happened. And my best friend in the world, me and him ran this interborough drug trafficking operation. Totally bananas, man. And listen, it was just the truth. So when college time came, we both got offered academic scholarships to the same place. We roomed together and took our drug dealing show up north on the road. We were going to go full like Noriega with it. I don't know what we were thinking. We weren't thinking. We weren't thinking.
No. There's no perspective whatsoever. You just do. You do, and you're doing. But you're smart and you're organized.
Explain this to me. At the same time, I'm going to class and getting a 4.0. You know what I mean?
Fascinating.
In fact, I was such a bastard with money, and we had a good deal worked out. So at the time, I'm not going to say I wasn't into girls. Like, I was into girls in short spurts. I didn't date because you think I'm brash now?
Yeah, you're not having the high school romance where you marry your sweetheart type deal.
I don't believe that. I'd say, listen, I'm a total dick, and I'm going to ruin your heart. I was like, I'm going to break your heart. I was like, what's going to happen is you're going to think me being the way I am is me being hard to get or whatever, and you're going to fall for me, and I'm going to be a dick to you, and you're going to hate me for it. So let's just skip all that. And, listen, we could, be friends or whatever. But I'm telling you, I never did that. So my partner had a very serious girlfriend. She was down in New York City. So he would make the trip every weekend to reload while I was up hustling. And, it just went off. But in my spare time, I was doing papers for people for money. And it was totally nuts, man. I don't sleep. I've never really slept very well. So I like money, and I was totally driven to make $1 million, whatever I thought that meant. So I just was going. So I'm this dual threat, right? This kind of monster. But again, these things, they come to a crashing halt, and like I said, the arrests start to come and pile up. And then, or you realize that, at the time it's weird. Weed now has a totally different perception. Like when I met my wife, smoking, her one word was oh, that's for dirtbags. That's for dirtbags. Oh. Now, people just, I don't mean it, whatever. You walk around in New York, it smells like pot everywhere you go here. It's kind of.
Who cares? It's over.
Yeah, okay, right. Mike, you're cool. You get it. So, okay, where are we? So, so the dual threat, right? And that kind of exploded.
So you get busted. So what do you do there? What happens?
Should I tell this story? God, this story is bananas.
No guts, no glory, man.
Man. I didn't even give any of the names. So let's do it.
You did not.
Okay, let's do it. So this is funny because if I'm OCD, I'm very compulsive, which is why I never got caught. Super compulsive. Everything away has its place. I'm the type, if let's say my wallet is not in the spot, I'm I lost it because it wouldn't be anywhere. So after gosh, it had to be months at the school. I had not even gone home yet because I was always working, selling every weekend. So one weekend we say, all right, it's your turn to go home. I was like, yeah, my turn. All right, you sure you can handle this? And I'm like, yo, man, I have this really organized system. You don't understand. Hundreds of people are going to be coming through here. I was like, it's bananas, bro. I'm like, it's nuts. You got to hit the football team. You got to, we have to. I'm like, it's nuts. I was like, there were teachers involved. It was hardcore.
Wow.
Yeah, I got it. And of course, he was enjoying his one weekend without his girlfriend or whatever, and he started partying. And I was told, you got to keep your nose clean. And he started blazing in the dorm rooms, which is a big no-no. There are these little boxes with no ventilation.
You shove the towel by the door. Yeah,
right. Spray some ozone. That'll work.
Yeah, get a dry cleaning sheet, dude. Put it through.
Yeah, that'll do it. No, it just smells like pot and bounce Anyway, yeah, it's so dumb. So the cops came, which I don't believe. I think is ridiculous anyway. This incorporation of law enforcement on college campuses for weed is absurd. It's absurd.
That's a whole other conversation, man. About just totally enforcement.
Absurd. And now look, fast forward, we have people rotting in jail for weed. It's so stupid.
Yeah,
very, very.
It makes me mad. So anyway, so he was at the school doing his thing. He got in trouble. The cop, he didn't have his ID on him. Of course, another thing I told him, you always have to have oh God, so many. That's why I'm very compulsive and I get very nuts. That's why I have to have my ducks in a row, because if not, I just the cap gets blown off. So when you get caught without ID, they take you back to your room. They opened it up, and of course, numbnuts left drugs out on the table, thinking I locked the door behind me. No one's coming in the room. Well, hello, idiot. Here are the police. He gets locked up. I get the phone call. Yo, I got locked. Where's the heavy stuff? I said, well, you're lucky you're an idiot. I freaking hid it. In a dorm room, you get very creative. We used to tape ecstasy behind the posters on the wall. And I had speakers. I used to dummy out. You'd have to actually unscrew pieces. You know what I mean? So they had the dogs in there going, he said the dogs were going nuts and they couldn't find it. I'm a bit smarter than a canine, thankfully. Or they would have, forget it, they would have thrown the book at us. They used to hate us city boys up there. They were like, gosh, it was so stereotypical. You Italians. And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Really?
Where are we? What are you talking? I'm a New Yorker. What are you talking about? I live 2 hours that way. Where am I that you're like, you damn guineas up here? It's a state school, God, you guys offered me a free ride, asshole. Anyway, so he got bagged, and that was, then almost like the end of all the really great mob movies. You want to turn them off once people start getting in trouble, because you see the camaraderie wane, the love that was there, right? That passion I was talking about. Oh, we're so cool. The break starts. People are worried. The law's involved. Who's going to ride on who? And it just starts to fall apart. So I could have stayed in school. Here's the funny story that I couldn't tell. People are not even going to believe me, but whatever. So
why would you lie?
Well, here was the deal. Like I said, they couldn't find anything in the room. So the police chief went to the dean of discipline and they brought me in to interrogate me. We know you're up to something. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he said, so you're telling me that you went to school with this person for 4 years. You guys got a scholarship together. Room together, and you didn't know that he was running a massive drug operation. I was like, massive drug operation? No. Drugs? It can't be. And you couldn't prove it, so I'm kind of acting dumb, and I swear, this is the part that I swear it happened. I swear. So they're cornering me. You think you're going to wiggle out of this, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, listen, man, dude, I don't know. Can you prove anything? Do I have to call a lawyer? I'm like, I'm not an idiot. I know you're used to bullying people around here. I'm like, I've been chewing up and spitting out people tougher than you my entire life, bro. I'm like, I've been in 4 of the 5 central bookings in New York. I'm like, dude, you got nothing in this place. You know what I'm saying? You suck. You suck. Franco, you're not very smart.
Amateur hour.
Right, exactly. So they're trying to press me, and so I look over. And his daughter was a freshman. His daughter was a freshman in class with us, right? So I knew her. So I kind of look over, and this is my last resort. And he had a picture of her on the desk. So I'm just going to use that. And I said, hey, that's, isn't that C over there? And he looked at me and I said, yeah, she's a freshman here, no? He's like, yeah, why? I'm like, would you like to see pictures of her with coke in her nose and a dick inside of her? He was like,
John.
I was like, what? So he kind of had the look. So I'm kind of getting the, I thought we were here I thought we were intimidating each other. I thought we not. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. We're being nice to each other with people because you can't prove what you're telling me. So I thought we were going for the jugular. So if we want to play this game, I'll show you what your whore daughter looks like with a dick inside of her. So we started fighting. You're not fist fighting, but we started fighting because I was like, listen, you want to whip it out, bro? I said, here's going to be the deal. There's going to be a point where we're going to get to the evidence. And you're going to have to prove what you're saying, and I'm going to have to prove what I'm saying. I said, I have a feeling I'm the only one with evidence. So, because what happened is he was trying to throw me out they were trying to boot me without cause and take my scholarship. I wasn't going to take the black mark on my, there's a difference between leaving a school and having a scholarship revoked for drugs. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't going to have that. Yeah. So that I was planting my flag there. So I hate for people to be like, man, how could you do that? That was a low blow. Yeah, it's a low blow. Let's go, bro. You know what I'm saying? Let's do
desperate times. I don't. It's like you said. You don't know what you'll do when you get in the pressure cooker in the moment, like you said.
Again, you're going to get in the ring with me. Don't expect to come out clean. I don't know what. You know what I'm saying? Like, talking to me for 2 minutes, you should have known, okay, there's going to be blowback. There's going to be blowback. There's going to be blowback. What is it going to be? This guy, he's out of his mind. You know, he's highly intelligent. He's very insulting. You know, this could get ugly fast.
Yeah.
We ended up fighting. The negotiation ended where I would leave, but keep my credentials. So I could keep the 4.0 or whatever it was, and I could keep the scholarship on the book, but I would leave under my own, free will.
Yeah.
So that's what we settled.
Transferring. I'm going to transfer.
So I went to school more locally, and anyway, I kind of had some family stuff up at the time. And we're going to get into balancing now, really. All ties in. So I had the education, and it was in finance, right? That's where my brain always was. When I come back to New York, I get a phone call. My sister's boyfriend at the time says, hey, John, my dad's in the electricians union, and the electricians local in New York City is very powerful. They make a lot of money. It's a great job. And listen, those guys are listed professionals. Like, if you look in the Chamber of Commerce with doctors and lawyers are, electricians. It's very dangerous.
Oh, it goes decades back. Yeah, there's a long legacy there. Yeah.
So I kind of thought, well, I'm kind of a brain. I don't know if I'm really going to work my hands. He said, listen, it could take years to get in. It's very exclusive. He said, why don't you throw your hat in the ring? And listen, maybe in a few years they call you, and if you have something better going on, you say thanks, but no thanks. And of course, to pat myself on the back end, I kind of went through it, and they're not usually used to having people like me go through that interview process. They're like, "Why?" To be honest, the guy opened and said, "What the hell are you doing here? Like, what do you want to do?" I said, "Hey, you guys have bosses and everything. You guys have politicians." I said, "I got the motor mouth." I said, "I got some skills. Let's go. Let's make some money." So long story short, 6 months later, they asked me to join, like full-fledged join in.
Wow.
So I had this choice of staying in school and chasing a theoretical, or going and literally learning a trade, as like kind of a brain a little bit. But I did like the allure. Don't get me wrong. They make a lot of money. Those guys make a lot of money, man. I've had a couple years where I did 200,000 plus a couple times. As a young man, that's a shit ton of cash, plus benefits and all this stuff. Now, granted, you're working your ass off, and I'm doing things that make you puke, maybe, under buildings, and plus, I embraced that. If you couldn't tell, I like the most dangerous job. I like the most specific stuff. So, I ended up in a very specialized end of the trade, working on services, building for Con Edison, really 100 feet up in the air, swinging around like in the middle of the winter, really dangerous stuff.
That guy
brought me here. I ended up being really injured. I had what I was told would be a catastrophic injury.
This is what I was always wondering about. You've always alluded to this, but you've never told me what happened.
So I got hurt in the electrical industry, and I was told, I may never, not say I wouldn't walk. I was told I would never run again. I was told I would never lift weights. I'd never work with my hands. I was told my life is ruined, and I was just not, what's that?
What happened?
It's funny, of all the crazy, crazy dangerous stuff I've done.
Oh, this isn't a fun story.
On the camel's back it wasn't anything I'd like to brag about. I was up in the air, and I just grabbed something really, really heavy, and it kind of took me, it went over that turning point, and I, jerked, and I heard this bad pop. But of course, I laid the groundwork for that injury with a decade of abuse. Mm-hmm. Again, you're not just lifting heavy stuff. You're lifting heavy stuff when you work outside, and especially up on power lines. You're in that truck that has that stick on it. So you're that guy up in that boom. By the time it's extended 100 feet, you look down, the truck is all the way behind you. The wind is blowing, it's not good for you. It's very loud. And that's, here's a backstory for me also. The origin story of me shouting all the time is my hearing is so poor from my construction background.
Oh.
Yeah.
You never had a problem hearing me though.
No, if I'm told I can speak more calmly, but I have trouble hearing myself.
Oh,
that's the origin of me yelling. I struggle to hear. My hearing is bad. Sure. You're around power tools and banging bulldozers and piled. Dum, 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 dum. You spend 8 hours feeling a pounding in your chest. Dum, 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 dum,
yeah, you might as well have gone on tour with a rock band for 15
exactly.
years.
Well, and I used to be into hardcore music, so we would, I'd be at Coney Island High, smashing it up for Candiria and HP and shit like that. We were. We were just maniac. We were such maniac. I was just a maniac, man. I loved anything fringe. I love anything crazy. I love anything that makes people throw up. I like anything that makes people sick to their stomach. I like anything that makes people scratch their chin and wonder why. I just love. When I say I love people, I should say I love people on the edges. People in the middle, that vanilla, no thanks. I've had enough of you. Give me the good crazy, give me the bad crazy, and I'll figure out like which part I like. So yeah, so I ended up now like I'm kind of like this trained brain that then went into physical thing. But again, I've always been very conservative, and I worry back to one of the first things I mentioned, my distrust of establishment and of government and stuff. Mm-hmm. So at the time, I'm learning about the markets, and I was convinced that we were in trouble. And now, see, it's funny, trying to time these things is very difficult, and that'd be another story for another day. But I was really afraid of the future of Wall Street, printing all this money, and the way it just the underpinnings of a financial institution are scary. And the more you learn about them, you'll just be terrified, that your money's worthless, which again will explain to a lot of people out there. Let me just get this quick poll going. If you're wondering why your baseball cards, why your comic books, why your Bitcoins, why your Doge coins are all worth so much, they're not. The dollar is worth less. It's a relative statement of ratio to the dollar. It's not worth more. The dollar is worth way less because we continue to create it out of thin air. Every time you hear the government printed $2 trillion, the dollar in your wallet just went down in value, which means the Bitcoin goes up. You're not really making money on these things. I hate to break it to people. Unless you're extremely savvy with the way you get in and out of currency and tangible assets, think of it as being on the highway. Think of it as two lanes on a highway. Get this one. Okay. They move it. Where the hell is the camera? Okay, move it right here. So they move at different paces. You may have a guy in front of me, and then a little bit up the road, he may pull in front of you. Right? No one's really ahead of each other. You're only ahead if you pull ahead and take the lane in front of him. And then if you change lanes and take the lane in front of the person in front of him, that's the only way you've truly moved ahead. The rest, this is the difference between signal and noise. Okay, we want to eliminate all the noise. We want to be focused on signals, right? Signals are what matter. Signals are what make the difference. Separating those two things is like, gosh, it's probably the essence of progression, in a sense. So what was I talking about? I was talking about.
So does that mean that you don't think crypto long-term holds are legit?
No, I do. Yeah. The future of crypto is very bright.
Okay.
You're
saying, well, the dollar is worth less. So you're not really making money, even though Bitcoin goes to $56,000 now, and it jumped from 20.
Well, again, don't take it as you're not making money, because what was the first thing I said to you today? That I knew we were going to come up with this discussion. It's an understanding or a misuse of the terms. If you notice, I've been talking about defining terms a lot. That's one of those things that I learned, again, back to that bowl about me becoming more persuasive and able to construct and eventually hammer home arguments, is defining terms, right? Let's be definitive in our terms. Mm-hmm. You can't really make money. The dollar is not money. We call it money, but it's not. Let's see.
It's a symbol now. I mean,
yeah. Well, I was gonna say, why don't you rant for a second? I want to see if I could bring. I want to see if I could bring something up that is really. It's gonna be really important for people.
Okay. Well, you're listening to a very special episode of the First Day Podcast. We're talking with John L. here. He's the man at MLB Moving Averages on Twitter. If you're interested, I'm sure you can send him a shout. He's got a lot of knowledge on wealth management. He's been through addiction. He's been through the streets. He has lived a life of pain and agony and power, and he's mixed it up with the best and the most elites. And he's just going to be content living his life the way it is now. And what do you think? Well, yeah,
also, pretty interesting. I like to live below my means, people.
Yeah, you said that too. Remember, you're the guy in the black shirt and the hoodie.
Yeah,
you're not going to be buying the $250 Hugo Boss. No thanks.
So. Yeah, you gotta live below your means, man. I wish I had brought this. I wish I had brought this up. I'm not gonna waste any more time chasing it, because I can get probably a worthwhile at least definition from.
But let's wait. Okay, so let me clarify something though, just so people are listening. Like John, so you became a guy in a trade. But now you're not in the trade because you got hurt bad. So how Can you explain to us how you kind of came to some financial independence, if you would even say you have?
There we go. Let's tie in all the bowls together and let's put them in an Uber bowl, a mega bowl. The bowl of one bowl to rule them all. You know?
Yeah. Don't call it the Super Bowl though. You'll get sued.
Oh, well, that fruit was hanging pretty low, and I missed that one. the Super Bowl. Holy cow! Like I brushed that way that apple, and I went jumping. Anyway,
you can't think of them all, John. That's why we need each other.
Right? So I got hurt really bad. They give you some compensation. It ain't enough, man. It ain't enough, especially as a
all
high
the time
earner.
you put in, man.
Yeah, especially as a high earner. No, I'm saying once. Remember, compensation is a very cold thing, right? Again, defining terms. People hear like being out of work. There's disability versus compensation. These things are different based on your case and what happens, and some of the nuances, my minutia between the two. So anyway, I'm on compensation. I was on compensation. It's finite, and the amount is not great. So like, man, I've already been told I'm never going to work again. Part of me thought, well, maybe I could be managerial, right? I mean, I could further my understanding of the electrical theory and kind of run work, or I could, have a background with trading. I could push that a little further, right? And I was at the step that I think a lot of people are at now. I have interests, I have hobbies, I have a little bit of drive, and maybe I even have some time in my hands. Man, how do I turn it into money, right? I've got to monetize this now. So step one,
here we go.
Monetize the hobbies, because I'm not going to discourage. I don't want to call it menial labor. I think that's insulting, but I don't, hourly wages. I'm not going to discourage people from that. I think it's a good spot to start. I had kind of already went down that path, and now once you have a skilled trade already, it's hard for me to go make minimum wage somewhere. You know what I mean?
It is. It is. It's just an honest response. I agree.
Yeah,
we're same age,
and it wouldn't have cut the mustard. I would have went back to crime first, to be honest.
Yes,
that's me. I would prefer to.
And it's not entitlement. It's not entitlement. It's just the fact that we've done so much. We have so much wisdom and knowledge. We don't want it to go to waste either. We feel like if we're doing
I'm okay saying that. I deserve better than that. I'm fine with that.
Okay. Great.
I deserve better. I want better. Like, I'm going to have better. And again, no one's going to give it to you. You got to go get it. So you're free to have that opinion. And brash, arrogant, conceited as it may be, if you go talk that shit and back it up, hey, man, I say go get it. You know what I mean? It's almost like we were saying before, you should never be shaming people that are after it. Same thing. I'm not going to take a single sling or arrow because oh, man, what is that great? Damn, another great quote. I wish I had a better hold of about the men in the arena.
The
right?
gladiators?
Oh, come on. Okay, this one's going to be worth looking. This one is going to be worth looking in real time because these are real. Yeah, is it Roosevelt?
The man in the arena.
Okay, right. It's not the critic who counts. Not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better.
Ah, yes, I remember that. I've heard that before.
Right, it's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again. Because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
Amen.
Amen.
Beautiful.
Listen, don't be afraid of reading the greats. And don't be afraid. I'm almost started crying, okay? I'm Mr. Tough Guy. I'll be the first one to start leaking when something touches me. And man, the weight. You know what that says? That speaks to me. Get off my back, bro. I'm hustling. I'm covered in dirt. I am marred with blood. I have the scars. I had a major spinal surgery, okay? I have changed, okay? I've been cut. I'm covered. So if you don't like the way I do it, you get out of the mezzanine, fancy box seats, hop down in the ring, and let's scrap, okay? Let's scrap. Because Mike, unfortunately, to tie back into where you were going, how did I get to where now nobody works? And I just kind of float around life, to be honest, people. I really do. And you could too. You could too. Create income streams that work without you, whether it be, interest or if you pick up, again, Mike, here we go. We're going to monetize hobbies. Let's compartmentalize and let's get granular, because I think people are physically wondering this, right? If they don't want a generic, put effort into things you enjoy. And no, it's not.
This could be you.
Yeah, right.
And people are probably also hearing like, yeah, you made like a crap ton of money and you made, you were making $200,000 a year. And so people are looking at it like, well, yeah, he had all of this,
but it was gone, because when you make, you spend.
Right. So that's what I want them to understand, that it's not you just had all this money in the bank.
No. And also to that high job was, listen, you go through not only on the job training, but you go through physical apprenticeships where you're up at 4 a.m., you're working for peanuts, and then you have to go to college for 4 hours at night. That stuff's earned. Mm-hmm. But again, it's funny. That was part of why again, how many people would have left finance and gone to do something physical, which seems below it? Again, quotes, because it's not below it. Right. Why? Building, streams. I knew now I could kind of make money in the market. And when I was offered to trade a professional trade, man, how could you say no? So there's one outlet, Mike. What can you do with your body, right? Start at the bottom. Maybe you like to paint. Maybe you can offer to paint for people. People hate to paint. And do you do it neatly? Maybe you can paint. Maybe, it sounds kind of dumb. Like, there's a woman in my building who walks dogs and makes a ton of money walking dogs.
Yeah. Classic.
Walking dogs.
Classic New York City.
So, I'm not even in like uber high rise Manhattan. I'm just in kind of rural. No, it's not rural, but I'm in.
John, oddly enough, everybody has dogs everywhere.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I when you think of the New York dog walkers as personal.
Yeah, the Manhattan.
But there's actually a woman an old lady who needed some extra cash, and so I would say, if a retired 65-year-old lady is able to construct and build her own entrepreneurial venture, then you should too. Maybe she loves dogs. Maybe she loves to walk. Maybe she combined those two loves into dog walking. Maybe she just knew people, right? Mike, I don't know if you've noticed, and this is going to be applicable because have you seen any of the raffles I've done on Twitter at all? Have you seen any of them at all? They've been kind of going fast. Twitter could be such a river of information if you don't see it. You miss it. So
I actually haven't. Yeah.
So there's a major collectible craze right now. Card crazes at all the wild stuff.
Explosion. Sports cards, right?
Yeah,
trading cards.
I used to collect when I was little, but I'm a trader at heart, and I like commodities. Again, you understand from some of this speech that I have my doubts in the dollar. So I would suggest to people, if you have money, not to keep a large amount of it in the US dollar. Like, I don't think of having cash. I think of being invested in the dollar. And that's a bit of perspective that I think a lot of people don't keep. I've got $10,000 cash. Yeah. What does the bank pay you for that? Do you even get 10 cents a year? Do you even get 10 cents? You don't even get that. So
CDs are worthless.
By that, even worse, Mike. So by that train of thought, we have a rate of inflation that they're not meeting with interest. The dollar is a losing investment. Yeah. So here we go to breaking those perspectives, those misnomers about cash, money, currency, and how but it's all the same. Cash is money, is gold, is Bitcoin, whatever. Bitcoin's a currency. No, it is. No, it's not. No, it's not. The US dollar is a currency. It is a representation of money. Okay? The idea of money theoretically has changed, and it's the cause of this weakness in the dollar, because the dollar used to be pegged to things that mattered, that existed. Gold and silver, and the existence of those commodities, we would base the dollar off of to give us value. We've eliminated gold and silver from the equation almost entirely.
Yes. And
if you were really, that's another show for a totally another day. That is one of the most manipulated markets in the entire world. side bowl for parents with young children. The most undervalued asset on the planet is physical silver. And if there's one move you'd like to make for your children for when they get out of high school, buy them ounces of silver. Stop putting cash away for them. Buy them ounces of silver from a reputable dealer. They don't have to be American Eagles. They just have to be bullion grade silver. Again, hit up Mike. I'll give you the links. We could post it in show notes. If they have me back, we'll talk about that stuff. Also setting your kids up to do better than you. Okay, but that's what I do. Ounces of silver might go for, I don't know, $35. Can you find it in your heart to find that once a month? Maybe. Maybe you find it once a week. You got $35 to spare. Start to save. Collecting physical silver is an excellent, not only because of the prospect of it and the broken mathematical equation at its essence, where I believe it's being criminally undervalued. Let's forget that. And just keep the theoretical in mind that it's a basis for the value of money. So listen, 101 economics should tell you as if money is based on silver and we increase the number of dollars, the silver should have went up. It hasn't. Why? Because there are those same governmental institutional structures that are here manipulating information and they're maliciously lying to you in order to keep you from getting to the end goal. Okay, people? So you could Photoshop a tinfoil hat on me if you want, but I could bring the receipts to this discussion. So I could prove this stuff, okay? So you buy tangible assets for the furthest future, okay? Here we go. Now we're really getting into the fun stuff. All of this stuff is on a pyramid, okay? Think of everything in finance is a pyramid. It'll account for amount. It'll account for risk. The highest point is the lowest risk, right? The most expensive. So something like gold is thought of as being pretty expensive. You're going to spend, I don't even know right now, $1,700 for an ounce of gold. Okay, it was $200 in the year 2000. Okay, so if you make that jump again, when your kid's out of school, you're going to be handing them a house. Instead of that $2,000 in 10 years worth of interest, you might have an extra $12 if you're lucky.
So right now, not even just kids. This could be like retirement for people that are in their 30s
absolutely.
and 40s.
The best way to think of physical assets, think of them as the casino chips that you put in your pocket that you turn into cash and put in your pocket. Meaning, this is a bit subjective, but it helps. The reason they're so helpful is their difficulty to exchange. Now you have the understanding of why... Excuse me. The reason we use dollars to represent gold is because we can't cut a piece of gold into fractions. I can't do that, right? So the dollar represents the gold, which is the value. The dollar has no value. The dollar is just a representation. So the idea that money can drop as the currency increases is all you need to know from this methodological standpoint I'm coming from, with how to gain wealth. But like I said, aside from profits, you're physically building wealth by buying these tangible assets, right? You won't be able to spend them. You can't go waste them. So again, you want to be very careful when you invest in tangible assets because they're not what's called liquid, right? They're not liquid. You can't, They don't transform. Okay. The positive again for that is it's there. And you'll find buy an ounce of silver a week, buy an ounce of silver a month, buy an ounce of silver every quarter. Okay. So if you're going to come to me with these, I'm sorry, when I feel kind of pathetic, these these arguments about numbers, I don't have the money. Well, I say, I don't think you have the know-how, or you might not have the drive. So when you told me you don't have the money, did you already self-audit the drive and the knowledge? Because if so, then there's something missing. The money would be there, right? You've got to, these things feed off each other. Mike, let's circle back, all the way back. Remember, I'm always tying in all these million things. You mentioned premiums for food.
Yeah. I
don't make enough money. Okay, spend less. All right, it's made money. Spend less. Cut your premiums. I had somebody come to me again. As an electrician, the apprenticeship program is really kind of cool. You work under older guys that really man, it was a great industry that's changed a bit, but it really is awesome, right? The theory of apprenticeship goes back to Game of Thrones, right? All the way back to the days of Westeros. We've had apprenticeship.
Really, this is Detroit area, man. We're all about trades and apprenticeships. Yeah, so.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. That's great. Right. You know a lot about that. But
everybody has an uncle or a dad that knows that.
I think that's listen. I think it's a very beneficial part of society, right? To always be moving and make sure the information and knowledge sticks.
I agree. But, I often said, there's too many people. College was overhyped, and that's why there's all these student loans, and it's a nightmare. And so many people could have gone into trades, including myself, and would have had no debt and would have had a trade and a career out of it. But it was poo-pooed. When we went to, at least in my opinion, when we went to college in the 90s, it was all, go to college. You got to go to college. You got to go to college. You got to go to college.
Yeah. It's so dumb.
It was dumb. It's dumb as hell.
I'm not gonna use my. I have someone too good of an example just in case they find this somehow. I'm not gonna use them, but I do know someone else that I can think of who is a friend of my sister's. Graduated from Fordham University, very good school.
Yeah,
and is I don't know, were a waitress at Applebee's before it closed. So I don't know how you're gonna pay off that mountain of student debt. It didn't translate.
How many people have political science degrees or philosophy degrees that do nothing for them? Yeah.
There's a couple valuable lessons in that quick story about, remember, not just because you're like doing stuff doesn't mean it's going to translate. So like just because you went to college doesn't mean you were doing something that's going to translate, which I think is why the passion is so important. Because I think caring about what you do keeps you sharp in that, in that arena. Or you end up studying something you don't care about. So you don't have a goal in mind that is going to be able to be monetized, right? Which again is the goal. Let's see.
But if somebody makes if somebody makes a crap wage and they don't have a lot of money, that might be true. They might not have enough money to be able to buy silver.
Well, here's where we are. Perfect. This is precisely where we are in the conversation. Right now, we are precisely addressing those people who don't have the money, right, and are looking to make the move. You can make more, like I said, different ways. You could get a job. You could try and learn a trade, whether it be physical or otherwise. There are trading markets open all the time. Research sources and mentors. There's YouTube. I mean, listen, no one can stop you from learning. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to make that decision first, I think. Do I want to kind of do I want to risk or not risk? It's probably the thing, right? Because a lot of those are risk ventures. So a lot of times you do need cash for risk ventures, but do you always? I don't know. I was going to get to the raffle thing. I want to table that just for a quick second because let's silver for those people is probably not the move, right? And let's see if we can figure out why. Because that silver, like I said, gets vaulted and put away. So you're going to have a hard time profiting off of. You want to be in the mindset when you don't have a lot of money. If you're investing, you're only into appreciating assets. You don't take any losers. You don't take any losers whatsoever. You have very low tolerance for losses, and that's fine. If it's a stock, you just jump back in when it's up. You don't take any losses. We don't buy into losers because we cannot afford to lose. So I've been there also. I've opened trading accounts with $300 in it. You can do that. And now without fees, you could trade without fees. Man, you could move in and out with $300. You'd be making a couple dollars here and there. And but it's only $5. Yeah, but if $5 is 2.5%, you did really great. You did great. You didn't just do good, you did great. And you want to make more money with 2%, then you need to have more to start with. But you're only going to do that by enjoying the 2%, embracing the 2%, and then making that off the new compounded number. Right? So if we're starting from scratch, as much as I love silver, I would say now is not the time if we're starting from scratch. Right? So if I was starting from right now, I lost it all. And I was starting from scratch. I'd say, okay, I know particularly I have the ability to do electrical work. So I could go work for a contractor or I could go work for people on my own. Let's say no one doesn't have that. A lot of people would have stopped there. I know plenty of electricians in their time off because there was inherent unemployment. They just go fishing and they put their feet up. They don't do shit. I start businesses and build algorithms. That's a difference, again, to time efficiency and stuff like that. You have to want to do it. So I would audit myself. First, I would say, how can I make more money? And I'd say, I have a trade, but let's say I didn't. I know there's trading stocks, right? And there's cryptos and stuff like that. So if I had some money and I had the ability, I would probably look there first because you're your own boss. It has very low to no overhead, right? You could start your own business in your underwear. You don't have to pay any rent. You just have to pay taxes on the wins. And in the beginning, unless they're massive, you really don't feel much. So This choices are pretty simple, right? It's work with your body or work with your mind. I'm not going to bring up crime. I don't suggest it. I don't think it's a good idea. It's hey, listen, man. I understand that people, but that's mean about my experiences, and I know that there's a percentage of people that are going to say, I could get that first couple hundred by stealing. I would suggest before you steal to try and sell something. Okay, look around your house. Do you have anything you could hawk on eBay? Polish it up. Start an eBay account. There's your number. There's number one. Let's jettison the things that we don't need. Let's get into an efficiency mindset, because if we're broke, right now I'm talking for somebody who's broke, I would have some nerve having a Don Mattingly rookie card in mint condition if I am broke. So that has to go. And the PlayStation has to go. Well,
yeah,
first
PS4,
of all,
PS5's out. Sell your old PS4.
Small spinning bowl. Video games are the death of production. Get rid of them.
Boy.
There's almost no place for them. If you could find me one with a much lower time commitment that we have now, like give me the Mario Brother platform style that I could kind of play for 10 minutes, opposed to, geez, gosh, you want to play a game of MLB? It takes you an hour and a half, and it's like being shot. It's people. If you look out front and you have an Italian sports car and there's a Rolex, play video games. If you don't have those things and you kind of wish you did, you should not be playing video games at all. It's a massive, Not only did you waste your money, you spent your hard-earned money to bring in a money sucker. It's only going to cause problems. Now, I should give the caveat. I know my wife and I like to watch a little TV after kids go to sleep. So if that's companion time, then by all means enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? Again, everything has a context and a time and a place. Portion, just like eating, right? Portion controls are important. I know plenty of guys that wait for their wives to go to sleep and they hop in a video game chair and stay up like half the night. I don't know, talking to 11-year-olds.
Yeah, but some people make money. That's a revenue stream for them.
Okay, now we're talking. Do you have that ability? Do you have that social media presence? Then you do that. But what percentage of people are we talking about?
You're talking about not doing that. You're talking about somebody sitting on their ass, just kind of, hey, I'm going to chill out. Nobody's here. And,
I'm glad you came at me with a hole in what I was saying, and that's what we're here for, right? If the person is out there saying, well, I'm building the brand and I think I have the personality and I think I can do this, then you chase that and find out how to succeed at it. I was referring to kind of playing video games, right?
The idea,
there's this general idea that like, it seems to be more prevalent in America that like, we need to kick back. And I feel bad saying like, you almost don't deserve to rest. You know what I mean? Like,
wow.
I hate to be that way, but like, what are you?
Leanne, are you hearing this? Leanne, you taking all this in?
It's just kind of part of it. What are you resting for? And to be honest, if you're a true hustler for real, like I am a grinder, I'm a true hustler, man. You could DM me. You could DM me at 3 a.m. I might be up and I might be writing something. I might be reading something. I'm listening to lectures, or I'm doing it all. I'm balanced. At nighttime while you're sleeping, I'm trying to earn. I'm trying to get sharper. I'm trying to get smarter. That's what that's part of when I do it. Plus, my house is quiet. My kids are sleeping, and I'm laser focused.
That's another part of it too. Yeah, you have a family, and you give your time to them during the day, and your kids. Yeah, it's very important to you.
I have the receipts, bro. I got pictures. We're petting llamas. We've been to every aquarium, zoo.
Right.
We used to go down to Disneyland every 6 months. In fact, I got my wife on board with getting into a career in baseball. I bribed her unknowingly. I started spending my winnings on taking them to Disneyland. And that's how it started. I'd win a home league, and we'd go down to Florida. We'd win a home league. We'd go down to Florida. And then we didn't go to Florida one time. And she said, what happened? I said, well, I didn't really play. We were talking about money. I didn't play fantasy baseball. She was like, you better stop playing fantasy baseball again, So now I got her whole blessing. But this is what happens when you monetize your hobbies. You'll find support from your spouse, and not to say they're have some angle of money like that. It's not at all.
No.
With limited time, they want to see production, right? So again, let's get back to that person. I know it's so many tangents, but let's get back to the person at the very beginning. So
real quick, I don't want people to think you're some like super workaholic who doesn't, you take fatherhood very seriously. You take your family incredibly seriously. So I don't want people to think like, oh, this guy, all he does is work. Even he's up at 3 a.m. It's also part of your environment. It's part of how your life works.
It's when I work, I work for 6 people.
Right.
And when I play for 6 people. And when it's daddy time, bro, I got my little man on my shoulders. I got that little girl in my hands. We're blowing belly farts, and we are having a good old time. My toenails are painted purple as we speak. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in the toy kitchen. I am doing all of those things. It's very important. I find, selfishly, it makes me better at my trades.
But you've hit at a crux, though, between me and Leanne. Leanne is so about, like, working. She drives herself. She never rests, really. She's always working, always working. She has her own business that she runs with her mom, and she's always grinding. We've always had this difference where I'm like, yeah, working hard is great, but I'm like, you got to take care of yourself, Leanne. You got to get a good night's sleep. And
I'm getting better at that.
I know for myself, I don't want another me around. Oh, God forbid. You know? Like, so I'm glad. Well, no, but I mean, maybe it's the same. I would never speak for your dynamic, although I love, man, you guys just look really happy. You have a great flow. The chemistry is obvious. You know what I mean? It kind of comes off the screen. So I don't ever like to speak for people because you never know. Although you guys kind of remind me very much of my wife and I, where, like, we really don't fight at all. Sometimes I joke around, like, you want to fight? Like, to spice it up a little bit?
We don't. Like, I mean, you guys live together, too. We don't.
Yeah, like, it's just, you know what, man?
That's even more impressive.
Good attitudes are contagious. And
you wouldn't put yourself in that situation, John. You see, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're taking care of your own self. You wouldn't be with somebody where you were fighting, because that's, why would you want to be with somebody?
Glad you said that, because I think one of the most important things I wanted to mention that I didn't was something that Lee mentioned, and it was surrounding yourself, what you surround yourself with.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And back to the story I said before, I used to pride myself on being a bit of a chameleon. I would say it. You know, I'm in the street doing crazy shit, you know, cursing and talking about absurd things, slang, like you'd be like, oh, John, right. That's not you. And that's
you could fit it anywhere.
And then I hit the classroom and it's, you know, buttoned up, and you've seen it reflects in a little bit of my work. Some of my work is kind of academic, and it really is. I do research papers that are more like math papers, you know, and I think people frankly are surprised that I look stupid and I sound stupid, you know, but I'm not. But I look it and I sound it, but whatever. You know what I mean? Judge me at your own peril. You know what I'm saying? I
amateur hour
myself, right? Not to judge people, but
right.
So the surrounding is really important. But I think, oh my gosh, another great quote. Here we go. Oh man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to spell it because I don't know if I could spell. Oh man, I think it's Nietzsche.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nietzsche. Some people say Nietzsche. It's always debated. It's so dumb.
Yes.
Who cares how you say his name?
And when you gaze long enough into an abyss, the abyss gazes also into you. And that, yo, that is some seriously compelling, you know, 6 words or whatever. I noticed this myself. Be careful wearing the different hats. It almost becomes like an in too deep. You know, you got to be careful, because when you stare into the abyss for too long, you may become the abyss. I've noticed it myself following politics. So, I mean, politics is extremely toxic as it is, and particularly for me. So I am truly an originalist when it comes to politics. And I know this because in a room full of conservatives, I am slanted as a progressive liberal. And then around progressive liberals, I'm a far right, you know, racist or whatever it is, whatever the term of the day is to insult people that you disagree with. Sure. And to me, that just validates I'm right. Like, that's how I know I'm right.
Well, that's an interesting way to look at it. I can respect that. Me and Leanne we don't have politics in our relationship. We just,
that's good.
They have no value to our own existence, in my opinion. The only thing they could do is hurt us, and that's how I see it.
There's a couple good quotes I know also, man. I'm dropping them like bombs, but right, they're always, a lot of times a single kind of phrase can galvanize thoughts, right? Except when you lose your train of thought. Right.
Yeah. When you're staring at the abyss, you mean like you're not connected with good people? Is that what that means? Like you're losing yourself because you're just pushing everybody away.
Right. Well, no. In this example, the abyss doesn't have to be bad. The abyss is not bad in this example. The abyss is just compelling. So if you hang out in the street too long, be careful lest you become it. Right. and you don't represent yourself in a proper way. Be careful in academia, lest you lose your sharpness. Particularly with politics in academia right now, science, which is supposed to be perpetually questioned by definition almost. Now the new thing is, no, science is settled. And I'm like, well, you're an idiot. You can't settle science. It doesn't work that way. So with the second you tell me that you're settling science, triage moment, your way of thinking is broken. I don't think I could fix it. So I just kind of let those toxic, negative, politically driven people. Oh, that was the quote I was going to get to. Is one of them is politics is downstream from culture. And another one is you create your own politics. So right now, man, I want to do this without pissing anybody off because I really don't have much political affiliation. My political affiliation is to my family. You know what I'm saying? It's
sure.
And my wallet. And pretty much my neighbors. It's weird. It really is. Like, I wouldn't stop to ask to defend somebody if I wanted to know their thoughts on amnesty, or like immigration. You're supposed to defend people, right? And good ideas should prevail. But right now we have this silencing of opinions. So it's really especially dangerous. And that'll circle back to what I meant about what I said before about institutions and governments. People is just don't get your information from institutions right now. If it has the word world in front of it, don't listen to it. If it has the word like national or united, or just don't bother with those things. They're corrupted by money. They have an agenda, and you'll find out that the drug study you read is sponsored by the people who make it. And it's
exactly.
Like, what is up? It's just broken. It's just broken fundamentally, and you would never, attach yourself to these things in real life with any kind of level.
You might not like. I think it's over. I mean, Leanne's Canadian, so she. I would love to move there and become a Canadian because this place it's over, man. I really think it's just kind of done.
Again, my counter, of course, would be you make your own politics. So I know people who live where I am who say this is a progressive liberal hellhole and they're taking all of our freedoms. And then I've heard people say the other thing, we need to snuff out white supremacy. Whatever the hell that means. I don't know what that means anymore. I don't know what it means.
Yeah, but my thoughts have nothing to do with either of those. They don't. Yeah, well, I don't put myself in those categories.
Right. But here we go. So you create your own politics. Maybe Mike Landia, Govieberg is just a place where people are nice to each other.
Sounds good to me.
Crap. What a sick idea. That's the politics here. The politics
ideas are allowed to flourish.
Is we look out for one another. Health and prosperity at the forefront. Mm-hmm. And the rest kind of takes care of itself, right? We should be able to disagree on things without fighting with each other. Mm-hmm. Again, if you notice, I pointed out particularly the word white supremacist and racist. If you're using those terms, even if they work in the term, I would discard it because there are a lot of smart people like me who think you're an idiot just for going down that road. If you're gonna put 65 million people in a certain basket one way or the other, you've probably lost the game. You're not going to understand politics. And what's funny is that's where it got me. I got into politics to learn trading, right? So here we go. What the hell was that rant about? It was about these people beginning and needing to know, man, how do I make money? How do I get started? What do I do?
Yes.
So I wanted to be good at trading. The market is downstream from politics, so you get learning into politics, and you kind of learn how inconsequential a lot of it is. And if anyone wants to challenge me on this, again, I only push the stuff that I can bring the receipts to. And whatever you tell me what you think matters, whatever news story, presidential, whatever you think matters, and we'll open up the futures market. So the futures market is somewhere that I would suggest people go to start their first business in trading, because you actually don't have to use real money at first. You could do it on paper and see if you can succeed and then take it forward. And it's also a very low risk venture. Hey, listen, sometimes Wall Street in their infinite greed opens up cool opportunities for us, the little guy. They don't do it because they like us. They do it because they want our money. But hey, man, whatever, if you're going up against the bear, it's a fair game. But what I was getting at is, so in the futures market, it runs 23 and a half hours a day, except for weekends. It's a purely cash market, and you don't have to invest anything to be a part of it. Meaning, generally, let's say, Mike, you wanted to buy an Apple stock. You need $2,000 to buy a share of Apple, and now you get paid on the movement of that price. Okay, man, $2,000 just to get in the game, and I mean, I like blue chips, but blue chips move slowly, which can be a good thing depending on your written plan and what your goals are, right? But if you're short on money and you need that money, $2,000 towards an Apple stock, not the greatest idea. Here's how futures work. You keep your $2,000, you enter the trade, and you get paid. Then you get paid on the movement. But the movement comes off the balance. I'm gonna break it down for you guys. It's worth learning about these things, right? You have to get into the right. We're gonna get into the muck a little bit. You're gonna have to be uncomfortable around me sometimes because we're learning, right? We're gonna change our life.
How do you get into it though?
You sign up for free. You go through again. I use TD Ameritrade.
Exchange, Robinhood if you want, whatever.
I suggest TD Ameritrade because we're all friends. I am experienced. Let's say that I have a lot of experience, and I'd be glad to help you guys. Another reason why trading is so great is, unlike fantasy, where Michael and I's cash are in direct competition, there's that word, we can trade together and celebrate together, right? You and I can truly share work against the evil Wall Street beast. And if that's a motivating factor for you, then all the power to it. I like the idea of more eyes on it. So this isn't like I'm telling you about some secret. No, join the team. I often talk about creating a culture of fishermen on my show. And what I mean is, back to the old adage, right? You give him a fish, he eats a day, you teach him to fish, and he fishes for a life. I don't even want a fisherman. I want a culture of fishermen, right? And a system of apprenticeship of fishing where everybody just fishes and you feel like you can put your feet up because you have such confidence in Mike's day fishing that he'll tell you, Johnny, this is the point. This is what we're going to do. Bing, bang, boom. We're going to make some money and move on. So it takes a village sometimes. And this is one of those times. Okay, let's get back to the cash market and why it's so important.
So the cash market and future market is the same thing?
No, right. The futures market is a cash market. Sometimes it's just referred to as that.
Okay.
So I like to use the S&P 500, right? It's very general. People are very familiar with it. It's in all the news. You could follow it, right? It's very digestible.
What would be an alternative, though, just for the hell of it?
Well, there's like the Dow Jones, which kind of moves at a different increment.
NASDAQ is for...
Then there's the NASDAQ. There's also the Russell, or you could be in all commodities have futures. So, like, you could get into lean hogs.
Pork bellies.
Sugar, pork bellies. Yeah, whatever. But again, it's very important to pick your game because you want to learn as much about it as possible. The reason I say S&P is because if you just follow, even for a week, you'll get an idea of the movements of the natural. Remember, I said signal versus noise, right? The fluctuations. What's natural? What's unnatural? And you'll have an idea of just how it works. How fast it moves, how much it might move altogether. And the way this game works is this. So again, right? We're looking at the chart. It's open all day. You don't even have to wait. You could, Mike. I learned how to trade futures at nighttime while everyone was sleeping. It's open at 2 or 3 in the morning. You could try and make $5 if you want and get out, So you enter a trade. And then, like I said, so it's going to move on the way the price moves. So if you get in, let's use, it's at 1,000, right? Nice even number. And it moves a point. They actually move a quarter point at a time. It used to be $50 a point. So every quarter point is $12.50. And if this thing jumps 6 points at a time, you're in the hole for $300 and you might, freak out and lose it.
Right.
The good people at JP Morgan and Bilderberg, the New World Order, provided us with what they call the micro. Okay. So if you hear people say ES minis, okay. So ES is the mini S&P futures. Now there's a micro ES, and anybody out there, it's a backslash, then MES is the ticker. So you can go physically look this thing up. It mirrors /ES is the big boy. That's the $50 point one. That one I will play in from time to time, but you need cash and you need cojones and you need to know what you're doing. I don't suggest it. I do suggest the micro. Hold on, Mike. Hold on one second. We're going to get there. Hold on. The micro is 1/10 of that. So a quarter point is now $1.25, and a point is $5. So
wow, two different ones there. Say that again about the tickers. There's two different tickers.
No, dude, awesome. Because I'm hoping that at a certain point you're cutting me off. I don't care about time. Even we have to make this a 3-parter. Questions, because the questions you're asking are likely what people have. Again, my own self-auditing. I know it's a lot. I could just be a lot, and sometimes we have to slot, go back, and it's fine. Okay, right. Tickers move up and down. That's the essence. The
Right.
reason why this game is so appealing is you don't have to take a claim at first. You don't have to stake a claim. You stake your cash balance. You know what I mean? So you have to bring cash to the casino, but you don't have to put it on the table. Meaning, if you jump in a trade and it immediately goes in your favor, you can cash it out, and that's it. You take the money. That's it. Your 2,000 was never. That's it. It was just not there.
How's that possible?
It's a purely cash market. It's a cash. The cash is collateral in case you get eviscerated. Because listen, has it ever just jumped 100 points? No, it doesn't really do that. In theory, could it? Yes. So they make sure that you have cash collateral to back yourself to make sure you don't get crushed. And they let you can also, of course, trade multiples. You could buy 5 and then sell 3, add 2, sell 1, add 2. You know what I mean? And it moves lightning fast. But the idea I was getting at is this. Usually there's a limit to start an account, but it's probably like $500. You could also start it and then never intend to use it. You could just start it because you need that and tell yourself, well, I only have $250 of this. Let's even say I have $100. I have $100 to play with. Now, if you don't have $100 to start trading, you need $100. And if you don't have $100, then you have to go back to the step before, which is maybe you need to take the fork of hourly wage labor, right? Work out an hourly wage while you cut back on all your spending to create a savings to fund this venture, right? Mm-hmm. Remember, my answers are never easy. Okay, I don't have those. I don't do that. I wish I did. I don't know those answers. And if you have it, I'll be happy. The answers I have to being not 40 and not working is lots and lots of good decisions, always putting decisions under the microscope, and I've eliminated all premium spending from my portfolio, if you call it. That's what I was getting at. I lost the train. Now we're back with the apprenticeship. I see my apprentice and the kid's drinking a Snapple, and I'd say, that's a bad choice. And he'd say, why? I should have gotten the strawberry lemonade. No, not that. Moron. The Snap. You paid. What? You got something? You got something against iced tea? This guy's got a problem with lemonade? No, it's that you paid for the Snapple at the very end of the production chain. It passed through 10 hands already. Mm-hmm. You could go to Costco and pay half for the same Snapple. It's not even like I'm not. Again, remember the Nikes, okay? Remember the white shirt, remember the Nikes. The white shirt is stupid. The Nikes is okay. It's functional and it works. If you love Snapple, then you drink Snapple. I'm not telling you that you have to drink Special K, whatever Kirkland brand. Oh, I'm sorry, Costco. I love Kirkland brand. I'm sorry. I really do.
Who doesn't? We all do.
I love, we all, I shouldn't have. God, I meant to say Crasdale. Crasdale is the no frills brand that we have here. So yeah, Mike, that's the index, but you'd be looking for futures. They're a little harder to find the /ES ticker. Futures are a little more specialized, but regardless.
Okay. I'll just try to give people a visual example.
So to the Snapple, here's a perfect example. If you paid $1.50 for your Snapple, but you could get it at Costco, you don't even have to sign up for Costco. Find somebody to order it for you if it means that much to you. And here is your first piece of wealth. Bam! The money you saved on Snapple is the first thing that goes in the milk jar, in the cookie jar, wherever you put your money. And the second we get to $100, you're going to get in the market. First thing, Snapple. Can we apply that to other things? In the construction trades, coffee break right? They get a break in the morning. Me, I own a home. I own my car. I do pretty well. And I bring my coffee from home. Did you just pay $5 for a cup of coffee? No, this guy says something against Starbucks. No, I don't have something against Starbucks. I have something against paying 5,000% premiums. Okay, that's what I have to do. I'm allergic to premiums. You want that? You pay for that. And if you ever come to me wondering why you're broke with a Starbucks coffee cup in your hand, don't even talk to me.
Leanne loves Starbucks.
No,
the whole family loves Starbucks.
My point is not to alienate or isolate. It's not, and I feel bad. I don't.
I always ask them that. I always ask Leanne. I'm like, why don't you guys just make coffee at home? I don't understand.
These are the parts that feel pointed to people, and I understand. We only live once. We have our likes. I get it.
No, it's a bad decision. It's a bad decision. I went from getting the lattes and all of that garbage that's $6 a thing, and I went down, and now I just get a black coffee. So it's I think like $2.05 or $2.20 or whatever, which is still ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I've started making my own coffee at home, but I'm getting nauseous from the taste of it. So I just need to find, which I just found out. I don't know. It's just not a good one. So, but it's like doing something. I don't know what it is, but I found out that you can, again, Costco, you can go to Costco and there's a brand there that's not the Starbucks brand, but it's made by Starbucks. So it's going to taste exactly the same.
Costco's
and it's a full bag. And so you're done.
I buy the Kirkland brand. You get 3 pounds of coffee for $10.
Yeah.
I would need a calculator to tell you what that small black cup of coffee costs. It's probably less than 10 cents. The cup costs more than the coffee. So even $2 for black water, which again, it's funny. Oh God, Mike, don't come to me for attacking your one and lovely, you know. But like,
no, this is great.
It's less justified. I feel like it makes more sense to buy the $6 latte because you can't make that at home at least. The $2 black coffee you could put in a thermos. And I'll do you one better. People often ask me, I get asked a lot about coffee because I guess people assume that I am. I love it. My coffee like progression through life has been funny too. I went from drip, right? It used to be a drip with all types of stuff in it, creamers, sweet lows, equals, or whatever. Then I got into espresso. I went through like an Italian kind of phase because I said, man, I'm drinking all this drip coffee. Maybe I could just get like the condensed version, right? And espresso is great. It's a bit of a pain to make. I had the Nespresso machine, which is great. I don't mean to knock it, but it's a lot of work and it doesn't make volumes. It's like that really wasn't for me. And you know where I ended up now? Somebody actually told me, they were like, you know, I got a great idea. I ran into this great coffee idea, but I don't know if it's for you. It's a little strong. And I was like,
yes, please.
So now I cold steep because I was having a problem with the Italians call it agita. I was getting heartburn from a lot of black coffee. And I was told if you cold brewing eliminates the acidic properties. I might be wrong. I hate repeating.
Are you doing it on your own?
That's what I heard. Yeah. So cold brew is all the rage now. If you drive it through the neighborhood, all the coffee spots, like we have chock-full nuts, Starbucks, whatever. They all offer a cold brew now. Again, I'm not going to pay for that. I'm allergic to paying for that. I don't go in those places.
love cold brew. Yeah, I love it.
I found, again, I looked it up. I started researching, and I found what's the simplest idea. It's a glass container. A glass. It looks like a craft, right? Is that what they call it? Those wine, right? Like a tall pitcher, right? And in the pitcher, it has this metal. I guess it's meshed, but it's too small to see through. But that's how small it needs. And you fill the cylinder with coffee grinds, and you just put it in the container, and you put it in the fridge, and you leave it overnight. So it's the easiest thing to make. 1, 2, 3. Easy peasy Japanesey, and then you can make it. And I fill another container, and I kind of drink cold steeped brew now, and it's like, oh my God, change my mornings. I'm on fire. I'm always on fire. But the point being, the reason I drew that out. How many different bowls did we just get to? I identified a problem. I wouldn't stand for it. I decided to correct it. I not only went to correct it, but I learned something on my own, and I found the cheapest version of it. And now I'm left with a result of I have everything I want. I don't pay the extra. I get all the taste. And that's another one. If you don't like the coffee, Leanne, then I would say you can afford nice coffee if you're making it on your own, because that math will still be in your favor. Maybe get yourself a cool thermos would be my answer, because you shouldn't, right? Don't be deprived. If you want it hot, you deserve it hot. And you deserve that. So
no, I just want the caffeine. I don't care how it comes. If I could just like put it in me, I'd be fine. So like, I don't care.
Thermos is your answer, right? Yeah. And $5 a day. Let's just say it's work days. I love to do math. I love to extrapolate. We're at $25 a week. We're at $100 a month. I mean, that's 3 ounces of silver right there, or the beginning of a trading account. Let's fast forward for the whole year. $1,200 is possibly an ounce of gold, or legitimately, a real, because the $100, I hope people understand, that would be the only fake dream I've sold, is that $100 is really going to do it. It's very difficult. But $1,200 in a $5 game, in a game that moves, and remember, it's not $5 increments, it moves in $1.25 increments. The base is $5, just for people. So you think like, listen, if you miss on a 10-point S&P day, not the end of the world, it's only $50, depending on how you look at it. Like, so $1,200 just from skipping Starbucks once a day during the work week, which doesn't seem like a tremendous sacrifice, on New Year's Day is Hey, how'd you like to start your own business? Here's the cash to do it.
There it is.
Mike, it took us a while to get there, as I often do, but I refer to myself as I'm like a slug. Sometimes like it takes a long time, but I leave like a remainder, right? Like I leave a trail of some goodness sometimes. So you got to kind of make sure you're checking the backside, to see what kind of residue, what kind of aftermath, I left for you people. But
I believe there's a huge aftermath here.
But it's so true. It's so true. There's one way in a half hour or less how to go from nothing.
Yeah.
Self-auditing, being real, being stringent in your disciplinary plan, enacting the plan, sticking to it, and then making that work. Now think, what else are you into that you could get rid of? Do you have any fancy bags? Maybe you have 3. Could you flip one? Do you have, Mike, this is perfect. This is perfect. Because now we're going to get into how, because I don't want to work at all, like I don't want to work 9 to 5. That to me now is like the devil.
Mm-hmm.
I even take on ventures that you might think are below me if you saw my income stream, because I'm willing to let them grow, because I have multiple streams going on. So the card craze was happening. I was into cards as a youth. I'm into commodities as a trader. I see a live market happening and think, wow, baseball, money, cards, like this is, and being a cheapskate, like this is all me, let me see what I could do here. I had a talk with a friend of mine, before you know it, he says, hey man, you ever think about raffling? So I said, all right, let's see. So when everyone else is sleeping, I'm trolling secondhand card markets. Now, granted, I'm going to, not to kill people with technicalities of the card market, but again, this will be pertinent. The card market is a giant entity. Okay, be careful trying to enter giant entities and make it change, and create money. Find what you like, find what you think is specialized, and find what you think you can monetize that preferably is not being done already. So, like I said, there's a million kinds of cards. You could find them in your basement. You could find them there. You could buy them now they get graded, right? And grading a card legitimizes it. Now, there's no question of if it's real, if it's numbered, if it's quality, whatever. So that immediately spoke to me. Graded cards, they're bigger money. People are afraid to grade because let's say you have a card that you love, Mike. Who's your favorite player? Mike, who is your favorite player?
Lou Whitaker.
Oh, Lou. Okay. You have the Lou Whitaker rookie. It looks like it's in great shape. You always protected it because you loved him as a kid, right? The angles seem sharp, the whole nine. A Lou Whitaker, if it's a 10 out of 10, might be worth $1,000. But an 8 out of 10, meaning, they literally put these things under microscopes, and with a little bit of fading or a miscentering, it might be an 8. And an 8 might only be worth $200. So most people choose to live in the delusion of the card that I have, I know is a 10, and they tell themselves that they have this $1,000, right? So there's a couple problems there. We didn't verify, right? We didn't take the extra steps. These are all problems that transcend the single business that you need to go into your life, right? Remember, not looking to be right, we're looking to be wrong. How is this the wrong move? If you can't prove that it's a wrong move, then it's the right move. Rather than say, man, why am I so smart for doing this? Well, I had a great idea. I'm very handsome. That's not productive. It's not going to get you where you need to go. So now we have these commodities, and like I said, I'm pretty sharp. I like to haggle. I'm a nefarious cheapskate. Again, goes back to the premiums. I am a nefarious cheapskate. I will not budge. I set prices. I set my own prices. You don't have it? I'm not paying it. I don't pay that. $2 for a pack of gum, I'll have bad breath until I can get home. Because at Costco, I got 15 packs of gum for $6. So I'm paying like 40 cents. And now you want $2? That's a 600% markup for a pack of gum. My eyeballs are going to come flying out of my face. Like, how could you forgive yourself? I don't know. How could you ask yourself where you've stumbled in life if you're chewing on $2 gum? Unless your last name is Rockefeller, you shouldn't be chewing $2 gum. You should be chewing Costco gum like the rest of us chudrels that cost us 40 cents, right? But it's still Trident White. Think about the premiums. Think about the means of production that factor the production train. and where you're getting your, I mean, it applies very much to drugs and addiction, right? Because that's what I was doing earlier, was trying to get those drugs higher up on that level, because I didn't want to pay $25 for a hit of ecstasy. A single one, I could get them for 18 a piece for about 10. I get them for 14 a piece for about 100. I get them for 12 a piece for about 1,000, you know, and like that's how you need to be thinking, not about drugs. I'm just kind of saying, getting them up the line. So let's get back to the raffle stuff and how it applies to what we're saying. So I had a passion. I like baseball players. We also, Mike, I mean, this is something you might want to think about too. You know, it's open. I'm not going to be able to maintain this stuff. I'll be honored if you go chase it, you know. Maybe I could back you financially and we can work out a money deal. Like I said, I'm always open, right? So our knowledge of fantasy, particularly like Dynasty and stuff, really works into the card market. You know, you want to buy appreciating players and not get caught with prospects holding the hot potato, holding the bag, I should say, you know. And I spend the night times trying to get good deals on these commodity cards. Remember, I don't just go buy random willy-nilly. I know if I'm buying it from Leanne or if I'm buying it from Mike, that if it says PSA 10, stamp, gem, mint, blah, 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 it's legit. So I know that now I can present that to the public as legit. So I buy desirable things, and then I started raffling them off. I mean, I could be honest, I really don't make much money on it, if at all. I'm just kind of brand building. I was just seeing if I could do this. But look, you see what I'm saying? I've decided to experiment with a low-risk venture, even though I don't have to. And I was hoping, I give an example. You know, I mean, this is real life. If anyone that plays in the raffles, I don't lie about it. This is what it is, you know. You could do it yourself. I had my eye on a Juan Soto card. You know, it was like $100. I found a guy at nighttime. He had a poster for 100. I also find, remember, people are people. We all have our failings. And if you're going to be trolling secondhand markets, you're going to get your best prices at night when the drugs are kicking in, when people are going through their withdrawals, or they got rejected for sex. Or, I don't care what it is. Whatever the case is, they're tired and off their game. The best deals are made at night, right? Maybe desperation, whatever. Unfortunately, I don't care. You know, we could say, well, don't buy cards of drug addicts because that's not right. That's one of those innate inequities. We're going to have to deal with that another time. You know what I mean? It's wrong, but we're going to have to deal with that another time. Right now, I have to deal in the here and the now because, again, in this example, I need to feed my family, right? So I bought you buy the Juan Soto card for $75. You got to pay a little bit of taxes. You got to ship it. Let's say it costs you $80, $85. You turn around and sell 10 raffle tickets for $12 a piece, let's say. Now, you got people with $12 to get a decent shot at getting a legitimate commodity, a Juan Soto rookie card.
How do you sell the tickets online? I mean, not to get too deep in the weeds.
Yeah, put them right on Twitter. You can bring them my Twitter feed right now.
Like people send you, all right, here's $12. So now you have
again, because it's all verified. Maybe people will want to check it out. Hey, like I'm promoting. So I'm MLB moving averages. So again, if you want to learn, you want to make a brand, learn how to be savvy with social media, and particularly on Twitter, you want to use unique terms to hashtag. That way you can refer to your own stuff all the time. So I'm MLB moving averages. That's MLBMA. And a card in its best quality is called a gem. So my hashtag is MLBMA gems. And now if you were to look at that, you get all of my stuff and my stuff alone. Right? Kind of slick.
Smart.
Always right? Think about branding. Think about how you're going to be able to go back on your own stuff. So I put it on Twitter. There's a third-party site that runs the raffles with two separate randomizers. So it has a randomizer, but you run a randomizer to tell you how many times to run the randomizer. So and they give you a verification code. So like if you lose, you could go check it and check the timestamps and the entries and stuff. It's totally verified. So it's all on the level. It's all legit. You know what you're getting into. You're paying $12 for a 1 in 10 shot at a $100 Juan Soto card. I mean, is winning raffles a great investment strategy? No, it's not. Okay, I'm not going to say that it is. But, hey, if you have cash, it's pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? It is pretty cool, and it's fair. And you might not have wanted to spend the $100 on the card. You might not have been up at 2:30 to get the $75 offer I got because it wasn't there in the morning. Again, these things are about hard work and always banging you got to keep hitting on the dam to look for the break. It's not always going to be there. But if you don't try, you're never going to know. So here we go, Mike. Quick numbers. We spent $80 on the card. We ended up flipping it for $120. I just made 50% on something that I would have never been able to make 50% on anywhere else. While I kind of now because I'm dealing in commodities that are desirable, they sell themselves. I've had 5 or 6 raffles now. It's funny. I learned my own lesson. One of them actually went overnight because it was Kyle Tucker. He's on the Astros, Leanne. They got in trouble for cheating. So they're not, it's not desirable. They're not particularly desirable. And I had an autographed rookie card that I thought was like, that's the best thing you'd have, right? And I had trouble getting rid of it even for like $60. I had a hard time. Yesterday I had Wander Franco. Mike, right? Super hot prospect. Wander Franco. Sure. May not even play this year. May actually get replaced at shortstop. Shh, don't tell the people paying for these things. It is what it is. It's a hot commodity. I put it out. Half an hour later, the thing was sold.
Wow.
So one answer, again, in 4 million words or less, would be, man, if I really need money, one of the first things I would do is I would find things I have of value to sell. I would try and fund some raffles, right? Or fund a trading account. So right off the bat, I didn't just give you one. There's 2 viable entrepreneurial ventures, right, that you can go get, and nobody could stop you. Nobody could tell you no. Nobody could make your hours of operation. I've been that guy, boss, can I get some more overtime? I need some more hours. No, I make the hours. Okay? Make your own hours. Set your own path. And even though your decision may have said, well, I needed the hourly wage, that's fine. Your other jobs, you'll make your own path. And if you're successful, those 2 ventures, you may get a 3rd open venture. You might find a 4th open venture. Maybe the raffle thing really takes off. I mean, I'm at the point now, I was asking my wife, she hates the idea because she's just totally adverse to. It's funny because I am Mr. Risk. We're going to invest. I'm putting thousands of dollars into these things that sound absurd. And she's like, if it's more than $3, she's not interested. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't like to put $1 in the claw machine at the carnival. Like, we're totally different. That's great, man. The yin and yang, the balance, the balance exists. I was thinking about maybe going up or a touch, man, there are cards that go for the thousands. And maybe I buy a $3,000 card and try to raffle it off for $3,500. Maybe make $500.
Oh, boy.
Now, hold on. Make it $500, even if it took you a week. Now we're getting towards like a pay, like a legitimate pay. Let's say on top of it, you were able to churn out a couple points a day in the market. Again, I hate when people do that. Well, you just go and you make $500 a day in the stock market. No one's doing that, especially with a little bit of money. But if you had the $1,200 that Leanne saved by not drinking Starbucks, she enters the market. It's very realistic to have a 2 to 3 point goal a day where you're making maybe 10 or 15 bucks a day. And maybe that's $50 a week. And let's say one of the weeks doesn't pan out, you lose, you break even, maybe make $125 that month. And after you fast forward, that's another $1,200. So now you doubled up. Your $1,200 is now $2,400 while you were making money raffling. And you haven't lifted a finger yet, right? Because these things you could still be doing walking dogs, right? We talk about I'm trying to be realistic. You could
video game streams.
I don't believe in the driving for money.
Ubering?
Yeah, for me, that math doesn't work out.
It's awful. It's trash. Trust me, I did 3 years of it, and I did it full time. I did it full time, so I know. After the taxes, you lose. You lose.
Yeah, plus your car is depreciating. You know what
I
mean?
had a Honda Accord. That was a perfect car for it. Well, the Honda Accord was a perfect car for that. But you're right. It depreciates, and you get nothing from them. And that's even worse now. The margins are worse 3 years later. In 2017, it was okay. Now it's awful. Do not do it.
But again, lessons to be had everywhere. So you brought up a very viable opportunity for a lot of people. But just because it's there, right? It's almost like that work you're doing that doesn't pay off. You got to look at it. What is this going to cost me? Again, back to being able to say no. Just because it's an opportunity doesn't mean it's the opportunity for you. You may be better served researching, learning, and studying than you are actually getting money, right? Oh, yes. Another one of my favorite quotes. I believe this one is Abraham Lincoln. And he said, if you gave me 5 hours to chop down a tree, I would spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. Okay. Let that sink in, and that's how I am. And I used to get that on the as an electrician all the time. Mike, you have a job to do. Lee has a job to do. I have a job to do. An hour later, you guys are, blowing it. And I'm like, got my nose in the book and I have a ruler out, And they're like, yo, what the fuck? You are so far behind. I said, not only am I going to finish first, we're not going to have to redo mine. And a lot of times that would be the case, right? The plan. It's that transcends all businesses. Plan. No. Make sure you're planning.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of different things you could do, man. I mean, Shipped is a thing that you can, buy people's groceries for them, and there's so many different things. Look, this has been, John, we want to have you back. This has been so much.
This is the best
I'm going to have to go back.
This is the best thing ever.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we did this. This is what life is about. We said, hey, maybe we should do something about talking about these types of things. And we actually did it.
No, we were on forever. My God. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Oh my
yes.
God. And you know what's funny? We hardly really scratched a lot of the surfaces, but
there's so much more.
I hope if anyone made it through the entire thing, it's
there's still people watching. We haven't had 0 viewers at all. We've had people who have been watching the entire time.
I quite literally come from 0, and I've gone from 0 to much and then back to 0. And listen, those choices are all yours, and no one is going to tell me where I'm going to end up. I'm going to determine that, and that has to be up to everybody, right? So, Mike, I want to hear from you. The next update is going to be simply which premiums you were able to replace. That's what I want to hear from you. Which things were you able to buy wholesale? Which things were you able to find with generic replacements? Let me out myself a little bit here. Let me out myself as somebody who proclaims to be, financially independent. I am habitually found at the dollar store. Why? I'll tell you why I'm at the dollar store. I looked at the basket of groceries, particularly cleaning supplies, and said, it's got to be a better way. Has to be a better way. This progression is important. I went from retail to wholesale. I still wasn't happy. I wasn't happy because not everything in Costco is necessarily cheap. It is cheap on a per unit basis, but not for nefarious cheapskates.
Yeah.
I end up in the dollar store, and I see like the same brands that I use. And again, remember, people, be selective. The T-shirt and the Nikes. Some things are T-shirts. Some things are Nikes. Okay. Yeah. Go to the supermarket. You pay for Heinz ketchup. Okay. You don't buy the makeshift ketchup. You don't buy the makeshift peanut butter. Go buy Skippy. You deserve it, But buy Skippy at wholesale. Buy Heinz at wholesale. Those things are Nikes. Okay. Something like wood polish is probably a white T-shirt. And they have that at the dollar store.
Leanne loves the dollar store. You don't have to tell her.
I see the same. But remember, we've got to be very specific about using
greeting cards. That's the number one. You're going to spend $7 on a greeting card. Yeah.
If you give me a $6 greeting card, I will rip it up.
Then it's gotten to the point my family will not buy me. Like they'll buy cards for other people. They will not buy me anything but a dollar store card here. Yeah.
My dollar store has 2 for $1 if you go to the old ones. And it's like, wow, it's $1 for
wow.
But
you can now get packs from the dollar store. You can get packs that have 4 or 5 inside of there, and then you can do it. And it means the same thing. Write a nice message in it. Like instead of getting a Hallmark and signing your name, get a dollar store and tell them that you love them.
But I want the sounder in there. If you open it up, it makes a noise and stuff.
I'll make a noise when you open it up.
Get at it. Listen, greeting cards, perfect example. Cleaning supplies, something like dish soap. It's literally joy. Like my dollar store has joy, the same joy I might buy.
Yeah.
And now that's when I really
soft scrub. Yeah, it's all the same stuff.
Ooh. Can I say something just really quickly for the Canadian listeners?
No.
Yeah, I have to. So you need to go to the Dollar Tree, not the dollar store, because now the Dollarama that we have, they've been doing it that it's $1, $2, $3, $4 for items.
Whoa.
So go to the Dollar Tree and you get the same things for $1.25, no matter what you look at. So you're not going to get into trouble.
Yep.
Good tip, Leanne. Great tip for our Canadians.
You know what else I get? I save a lot. And again, I like to dress the parents every so often. I have a 5-year-old girl, lots of arts and crafts. That stuff's all in the dollar store. Googly eyes and pom-poms and sticks and glue and you name it, glitter. I mean, just literally, quite literally everything that your kid is going to have for a project that costs $5, $6, $8 at Michael's is $1 at the dollar store. So,
and they're very happy with it.
Oh, right there. Okay, so I wish I had thought of the dollar store first. That, if I could rewind, is my initial answer. We lost our jobs. We went bankrupt. I got to start from scratch. Go into the dollar store and find out what you can replace properly. Remember, don't sacrifice. You don't have to drink sour juice, right? We're not talking about
you don't have to. You have to eat contaminated food or just awful processed stuff that's so bad for you.
I had the argument. I've had the food argument with a few people before, which is funny. They're like, no, food is where I draw the line. And I'm like, listen, I don't really buy food at the dollar store. But like, I bought Domino's sugar at the, is that wrong? I mean, it's funny because I know what you're talking about. Like, and listen, and it's sad. Some people are in the dollar store shopping for their groceries. Okay. So I'm not knocking anybody. You get it how you got to get it. Okay. I'm not at the point where I'm buying like dinner at the dollar store. No, I'm not that cheap yet. I'm not there. But that's fine.
But that being said, they need to pay attention to the fact, don't be intimidated that you can't afford the grocery store, because going to the grocery store, you might be getting a better thing. For the ladies with shoes, I see people in Payless. I'll go into Payless and I'll see people and I go into Payless so then I can have the conversation with my mom and I'll be like, Mom, didn't we just see like shoes just like this for like $20 or like they were like $20 or whatever at Macy's on sale? And isn't the sale going on right now? And we'll just go and do that conversation in the thing. So then people can be like, I didn't even think about doing that. So they're buying, like you said, the garbage running shoe for $40. Or you can go somewhere and get it on sale for less money for quality that will last you.
Yeah, I think I prioritize saving on the good than just trying to get the lowest possible price. You know, and it becomes kind of a game. My wife and I, we love the Extreme Cheapskate show. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's really very funny. They'll run it on the Learning Channel from time to time. It's old now at this point, but it really is very funny. And these people that have these, I mean, just it's too much. They've gone too far. But it is. I'm not saying you're going to learn some stuff, but there are some cool nuggets. There are some cool nuggets. Just how far people will take it. But for me, finding apples to apple replacements is not. Again, I don't know how to speak. For here, there's a stigma. I'm just going to say it outright. Where I am, reputation's still something, and there's a stigma. You go in a dollar store. Most of my friends' wives would not be caught in a dollar store. They would make fun of you for being in the dollar store. They like what they think goes on there. Like, you know, government cheese is handed out, and there's drug deals and crap games and stuff. And it's just the furthest thing from the truth. It's a really cool kind of store. I know what I'm getting, and I grab Windex and polish. Perfect example. I buy dish sponges. Do you really give a crap like where your dish sponges? I don't understand where it comes from. And it'll be the person with the Starbucks coffee and the $3 sponge complaining about how they don't have any money. And I'm like, you have $8 of waste in your hands right now. Yep. But you're telling me you don't have any money. I'd say you have it. You just don't know what to do with it.
That is the key right there. That is a perfect place to wrap up the show. This has been such an incredible experience. Let's have you back on in like a month or so or 6 weeks, whatever is convenient. We'll check in. We'll see what we'll see what kind of changes that maybe I made. We'll see if we've learned any lessons from John and what he's taught us today. This has been really, really useful stuff. I hope he warned you
properly. I don't know. What else could you say? I'm just a handful, right? I'm a handful.
There's nothing we can do, John. We just do it, and then
really what he said. He just said he's from New York. You'll love him. He was right.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. That's another one too. Like it's so. Geez, I don't know. You know what I found though that I have liked as I meet people, cool like adults from around this. It's not as negative, and I get that from them. I mean, I don't mean to say people don't like New Yorkers. I mean, I have people say, "Wow, man, like the way that your type comes off on the TV, they're like, it's not like that's not how it is." Like, I'm surprised. Like, people say, "Oh, I'm surprised that you're kind of, you're well spoken at points, or you're a lot friendlier than I thought." Well, people think they're going to get.
It's really a damn shame. You guys have been stereotyped forever. It's been decades and decades of stereotypes.
And you know what? To those people I mentioned that throw around racist and white, they're the first people to slander Italians. Like somehow the slander of Italians, that part's okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. The person. The person crying about, defaming people uses the word guinea or says like, hey, it's like absurd. These things don't bother me. I don't care. I've always felt
but
people need to spend more time.
It's out there.
I've always felt as hard as I try to not offend you, I should try just as hard to not be offended myself and wonder where it came from. You know what I mean? Because and if you're at the point where it's like, wow, no, like that was offensive, then that person is not worth bothering with. You know what I'm saying? So if Mike offended me, I have to think, where is it coming from? And if there's somebody I just don't like, that's just mean, then you just kind of cut them loose, you know? But I love perspective stuff. You guys are awesome.
That's why you are similar to me. Like our Twitter, we're able to exist on Twitter, you and I, because we don't get into those.
I have my Sesame Place furry Christmas cup. You know what I mean?
Look at that. $1.25.
I'm a massive dad. We went to Disney in matching shirts. I mean, I dead serious. I live and die for my family. I think that let that be the last thing is that was my motivation is to not work 9 to 5, not because I hate work and I hate that, because you could have a 9 to 5 that's very fulfilling. I wanted anything that I could do to spend as much time with my wife and my kids as I could.
That's beautiful.
Yes, we love each other very much, but there will be no children here. There will be no kids. So
hey, listen, that's okay. God bless. You know, I was of that mindset very much, so I felt very strongly about it.
That's more her than me, by the way. It's like she's different. She's not your typical lady. I will say. That, so.
We'll come over to New York and play with your kids. We love.
Oh, she loves other people's kids. Yeah,
Mike must be phenomenal with children.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, I can only imagine. My daughter, Mike, would eat you. My daughter would eat you up, Mike. She would absolutely eat you up because you're so much fun, you know.
It's actually a fun thing. I'm actually thinking about, Leanne's like, you need to be a narrator for like audiobooks and kids stuff, like storytelling and writing songs for kids and stuff. Like, there's a market there.
I want to hear that you've taken one step the next time.
Okay. Well, let's do it. That's two things.
Call somebody. Find out, like, do we know anything about the business? And if not, learn something about that business. Because there is a talent that you have that's natural, that you have a passion for, that's very hard to replace, right? And not to say, it's funny because I mentioned about your skill set in fantasy baseball, where I think you've managed to succeed is by not being a carbon copy of what's going on. There's a lot of the same. And it's funny, my work, in a lot of ways resembles that same. I have my own spin because all my stuff is kind of, is out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But like, we're both a little different. Like I kind of took the same idea and I put my spin. You changed the idea, so man, you got to pursue this stuff because it feels like you're a couple decisions away from not being there because it takes a long time, but being on the path to where you're saying, what the hell am I doing here? You know what I mean? I'm getting money from this, and I'm getting money from this, blah, 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 and before you know it, just build. You know what I mean? Build. Even if it's on, hey man, those cars or something, you might, you might buy and secondhand sell. I'm
not above anything.
I actually know a friend bringing up the dollar store one last time. He was buying stuff for the dollar store and then selling it for $2. Because a lot of those things actually have $2 worth of value, particularly for somebody on the run, right? So if you have, packs of napkins or rolls of paper towels or like Band-Aids and stuff, you have the most random stuff, cleaning products, $2.
It's like you said with the gum, man. They get you on the moment. You're like, oh, pack of gum. I gotta have it now.
And he's turning 100% cash profit on this stuff. So
that's great.
Think in terms of resale. Think in terms, right? The factors of production. There we go again. Where on that ladder and the supply chain? That's the word. Where in the supply chain have you entered the trade? And the closer to the source, the more productive and profitable you're going to be, basically across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. What you're seeing here, John, now the show that you're on, that we're on together, is a representation of more effort and dedication. Me and Leanne said, let's just start doing, So what I'm doing in fantasy baseball or where I am anywhere else, it's all because I'm fully committed for the first time in my life. I'm sick of naysaying myself and self-doubting myself. I said, I'm going to get in the game. I got stuff I can do. I have some things I can offer to people. So this is where we are now. And this is the first time in my life I've truly gone all in on myself, I guess.
Wow, that's great. That's what I like to hear. Betting on yourself, man. Betting on yourself. Hey, listen, if you're not going to bet on yourself, no one else is going to bet on you, right?
Right. I used every naysay in the book. I'd be like, well, self-doubt and shame and guilt. And like, well, free will, and I'm just going to chill out. And life's easy here if I'm just downstairs in the basement with my video games and my food, and no one's bothering me. And, hey, I got a job. I mean, everything's paid for. But it's not living. It's not living.
There was that good one. I've heard satisfaction is the death of desire. I've heard that saying before.
I'm going to mix that in with my comparison is the death of joy thing. I like that.
Yeah, complacency. Man, and again, look at me. I'm a perfect example of where complacency can be truly toxic in a way.
Yeah, I know it better than anybody, or at least as good as anybody.
And even if we want to talk about more extrapolating rates, I put myself in a position where, let's say you're not totally unhealthy, but let's say you put on 2 pounds a month. It's pretty easy to put on 2 pounds a month.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Fast forward, in the same time that it took Leanne to save that $1,200 on Starbucks, I put on 25 pounds.
Right.
All in the same time frame, right? That year, it's elapsing, so you can't stop it. So it's what we're going to do with it in that time frame. We covered so much good stuff, man. That was really
God. Thank you, John. Thank you.
We want to thank John.
Double shaka. Woo!
Leanne, I was really hoping that Leanne would be happy with this. So I'm really glad that Leanne's happy.
I think we did pretty good.
This is so good.
Okay, 3 hours is probably right in line with my expectations. I have to go.
We all got to go. Yes.
I know.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. This has been the First Day Pod. Don't forget, firstdaypod@protonmail.com. It's been a real pleasure. John L. Check him out at MLB Moving Averages on Twitter if you want to maybe hit him up. I'm sure he'd be happy to answer some questions. Thank you so much. This is our special... and of course, Cork Stats. Oh, yeah. Cork Stats. I mean, this isn't a fantasy baseball audience, so I don't know. Maybe somebody...
If you want any more of me after this, I would consult the psychiatrist.
Nice. But no, your Cork Stats is great, too. So even if you're not a fantasy baseball player, he knows a lot about sports betting and things like that, too. So with sports betting being legalized here in Michigan and other places, John's a good guy to hit up. So, all right. Thank you so much, everybody. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for the Sunday morning coffee.
I love you so much.